The legendary John Mariucci had a lifelong goal: improve playing opportunities for America's young hockey players. On frozen ponds from the Midwest to New England, talented athletes have blossomed into goal-scoring snipers. They've developed into outstanding student athletes who love to play a highly skilled game. And they've matured into leaders in the locker room, on the ice, and in the real world as well. This New Year's weekend, some of the best gather in memory of this godfather of hockey for the 4th annual Mariucci Classic.
MSC, your sports connection, is proud to bring you Golden Gopher Hockey. Sponsored in part by the new Dodge and your neighborhood Dodge dealer, by McDonald's Restaurants, by Federated Insurance, and by Tires Plus Service Centers. Now, let's join Frank Mazzacco and Tom Reed.
Call your tournament a classic, you may as well invite the best. And that's what we have in the championship game of the 4th annual Mariucci Classic. Two teams in the top 5 in the country, Boston University and the University of Minnesota, and it comes to you live from Minneapolis. Hi again, everyone, along with Tom Reed. This is Frank Mazzacco. A welcome to our viewers on Midwest Sports Channel, as well as those of you watching in Boston on WABU. Two areas of the country, Tom, ready to celebrate, and they'd love to have a win to go along with the New Year's party.
You're absolutely right, Frank. They like to close off 1994 with a championship game coming back to their home area. But right now, both these teams realize the importance of getting a good start. They've won the games to get to this point. Now they have to make it happen on the ice.
Minnesota came to this game with the leadership and a guy who could make it happen from the freshman class, and that is Ryan Kraft, who scored a natural hat trick yesterday against Yale.
Well, when you talk about hat tricks in a game, that's quite an accomplishment. But to score 3 goals in a game to make it a pure hat trick is even more important. He's been snake bit all year long, but last night he seems to be in a roll. Maybe this is his time to make some things happen.
Well, he will be facing a man with an awful lot of experience in a Terrier uniform, and that's the senior from South Bend, Jacques Joubert, a leader on the ice as well as off.
He really has stepped to the forefront here. He's replacing Mike Greer as the leader of this team. Mike being at the World Junior Championships in Red Deer, but he has got some size. He got 2 points last night, a goal and an assist, and he wants to lead his team to a victory here tonight.
You want a championship game with a tournament championship flavor. That's what we have in this meeting between BU and Minnesota. Here's how they advanced to the championship game. Boston University with a 5-2 win over Western Michigan yesterday. Minnesota with a 6-2 victory over Yale. Earlier today in the 3rd place or consolation game, Western Michigan was a 5-2 victor over the Bulldogs from Yale. So that's the stage that we have set for you here at Mariucci Arena. Boston University ranked number 3 in the nation. The University of Minnesota ranked number 5. We'll have the opening face-off from Minneapolis right after this timeout. Mariucci Arena on the campus of the University of Minnesota. One of, as you heard during the day, you heard Sean Grandy and Mike Eruzione talk about this fabulous facility. Tom Reed and I have been here for about a year and a half since it opened, doing games out of here. And sometimes, Tom, perhaps we've already started to take it for granted. And it's nice to hear folks come in from out of town and marvel at this building as we marveled at it very much last year. A great facility for fans and players alike.
It certainly is, Frank. And one thing, when you talk to fans, they want to feel comfortable in a building. They can do that. The old Mariucci Arena, when the puck used to hit the light standards, you had to stop the game because of the dust storm that took place. That does not occur in this building. It's a great building for the players as well as the fans.
Well, it's also going to be a very exciting building for a Minneapolis native, a guy who played high school hockey about a mile, maybe 2 miles from here at Edison High School. Derek Herlovsky starting in goal for the Terriers.
And boy, he is eager to come back to his hometown to play. He suffered a 25-stitch cut back in December the 6th, but I think the break in the schedule has helped him to get back into the prime of things, but he is eager and ready to play.
Well, this man played his high school hockey across town in the suburbs. Jeff Callanan has all 11 Minnesota wins and is among the leaders in goaltending in the nation.
21 shutout periods he's had. Also, he's number 6 in the country in save percentage. Had a strong game last night. He'd like nothing better to walk away with the championship trophy.
Classic tournament. Classic teams, classic college coaches. There's Jack Parker coaching for his alma mater very much as Doug Woog is.
Well, only 472 wins on his career. Not a bad career, but a guy that everyone looks up to. He and Doug Woog have produced a lot of players over the last 10 years in the ranks of the U.S. Olympic teams, national teams, and professional teams as well.
Parker in his 22nd season at his alma mater. For Doug Woog, this is his 10th season, and Doug Woog has never finished lower than second place in the WCHA.
9 consecutive NCAA appearances by his squad, and Doug Woog would like nothing better to win this one in his home ice at Mariucci Arena.
Well, it certainly is an exciting hockey tournament where there will be a few folks who will be sitting out and missing it, but they are involved in some exciting play nonetheless up in Alberta.
Well, there's a number of players up there as you look right now. From Boston, you've got Mike Greer in the center there, and he's a big kid at 6 foot, 240 pounds. 17 goals, which is number 3 in the country, but also Sean Bates and Chris Kelleher out as well. And those are 3 key guys that they're going to miss, but the other players seem to have stepped to the forefront.
And out of the lineup for Minnesota, these 2 guys also up at the national or the World Junior Tournament with the national team. Brian LaFleur, the sophomore defenseman, and a freshman defenseman, Mike Crowley. Those of you watching across the nation who haven't seen him play yet, just wait. When you see him, he's just a marvel.
He certainly is. And you watch these 2 players, they're both being defensemen. That hurts them defensively, but they've got the other players that step to the forefront. But a freshman like Mike Crowley is certainly a guy you miss. On a big ice surface like this, he can move the puck, he can skate, he can make things happen. And look at the number of points he has right now as a freshman for the Gophers.
The Western Collegiate Hockey Association has assigned a couple of veteran officials to this hockey game, led by the supervisor of officials, Greg Shepard. He will be one of the 2 referees. There is a look at the guy they call Shep, and he will be joined by a longtime friend too, I'm told, Jerry Krieger, as the other referee, John Campion, will be our linesman for this game. Well, there have been a number of meetings between these 2 clubs, particularly when there was the interlocking schedule between the WCHA and Hockey East. Gophers have the lead in the all-time series, 10-9. Last game played between these 2 clubs at St. Paul last March in the NCAA semifinals. Boston University was a 4-1 winner. Brian Bonin's line out, Steve Thornton's line out, and we're underway here in the championship game of the 1994 Mariucci Classic. Ryan Kraft's pass at center ice is picked off and played ahead by Shane Johnson, then a long shot turned away to the far point. Grabbed now by Nick Checo for Minnesota, and his lead for Kraft too far, and the Terriers try to turn it around in a hurry. O'Sullivan dropping it back. Here's an interception by Bonin, who keeps it in on the line, then shoots it in deep. First man to the puck is Rich Brennan. Their veteran defenseman lays it up on the far rail, but it's taken away by Checo, as Minnesota seems to be in on BU in a hurry here in the opening 38 seconds of play. Jason Godbout rolling it out at center ice. Johnson had it for a moment. Now Steve Thornton tried to relay it ahead. Dave Larson for Minnesota shooting it in.
Frank, I think what you're going to see is some quick changes by these players as well. They played last night. They're a little bit tired, but they want to make the quick changes to get everyone into the lineup as soon as possible.
Now brought in by Thornton, going right in on Callanan, who came up with a big stick play to knock the puck loose. And Jet Feeblecore moves it to center ice before Kai Lena shoots it back in. Now we get a whistle. We got 2 pucks on the ice. Good eyes there, Tom.
I played in some games where I wish we had 2 pucks just so we could have it once in a while. Used to play against the Boston Bruins, and Bobby Orr used to get that puck, and he'd never give it away. So playing with the North Stars, I thought maybe we'd get it at some time. But Boston University, a big hockey club, a lot of size, but a lot of skill. You watch the play right here, and also Callan has to be challenging that shooter all the time. Steve Thornton coming in there, breaks through the defense, tries to get the shot on, but really not in a real good position. But he's got that long range as well. 5'11", trying to reach for that puck, and just unable to get to it at the last second as Jeff Callan comes through with the first big save of the game.
Well, no one up here has any idea where that second puck came from. Neither do the 3 officials. So to be as fair as they can be, they'll drop it out at the center ice dot. There's a look at John Campion. And Feeblecorn lining up for this face-off against Jacques Joubert, who had a goal and an assist last night. And the Terriers control. Out of the BU end. Don Coleman shooting it in, but it goes wide. And driven out of there by Feeblecorn. It'll come in on Herlovsky, and Derek plays it away to the far side. Now John Coleman playing it up. Scott Bell, who sat out last night's game with a 1-game suspension, had it for a moment. They fired ahead to Jay Pandolfo. His centering pass is broken up by Brink. Then Pandolfo plays it into the corner again for Joubert. He battles to try to get free, worked it behind the net. Then it's cleared, not out. Kailina keeping it in. And a Pandolfo once more who relays it around. Bob LaChance in the corner is tied up by Fiebelkorn. Joubert a nice pass. Now to Lena. Lena firing. It's deflected. Never reached the net and hops to the far wall. Coleman in deep to play it back behind the boards. And here's Larson again to pick it up. Lays it up off the glass and gets it out. It got past Lena, who they say touched the puck and therefore no icing. Herlovsky shooting it around. Now back behind the net with the Finnish goaltender Lena, who had trouble controlling it. Wu plays it into the corner for Minnesota. And now it's sent in deeper by Joe Pankratz. Scott Bell jammed up on the wall. John Coleman there. He scored an empty net goal to put the finishing touches on Western Michigan yesterday. Now with the referee trapped, Jerry Krieger says, I've had enough of this. Let's call the play. I didn't bring my shoulder pads with.
A lot of action along those the board area, and of course when you've got the size, you've got to use it to your advantage. A lot of the pressure also coming in the Minnesota zone was a result of an errant pass by Larson trying to clear the puck. It was kept in by the defenseman. That fellow right there can make some things happen. He's got the speed. We talked about him earlier in the broadcast, and he's really one of the guys they have to go to. He's got to make some things happen if the Terriers are going to be successful, and they know they can count on him to make those things happen.
Chris Drury has been moved to center ice for tonight's game on this line for Boston University. Jason Siles, a freshman, playing in just his second game, centering the line that's out there now for Minnesota. They work it around to Ken Roush on the left wing boards. It's kept in. Jay Moser's shot is turned away by Herlovsky. Played to the point, and it's held in by Charlie Wasley. Now to the corner it goes again. It hops free. Drury shooting it around. Checo forcing the play behind the net. Now it's worked to the outside by Hendrickson, and he takes a punishing hit up high. What a thundering check that was by Peter Donatelli. Now grabbed again by Minnesota, played back to the line. Wasley shooting, that hits traffic. Moser playing it across, but the Minnesota player, Siles, going off on a change, was unable to play the puck. Callanan has to help out back in his own end. Both teams changing. Here's Moser. Out to center ice, wrapped away from him by Matt Wright. And Kraft gets it in the zone. Delayed offside is waved off as it comes to center. Checo brings it in. Kraft battling for it, but he's tied up. Now spinning away is Bonin. Can't get the shot off. Rich Brennan doing a great job to not only tie him up, but ride him to the rail. Now it's tipped loose, and the Terriers will try to skate it out. Instead, now they flip it out at center ice as Mike Sylvia played it out. Here's Jason Godbout, another freshman defenseman for Minnesota, over to Treble and out of Brian Bonin. We played 4 minutes here in period number 1, no score. Bonin knocked down on a solid check by Shane Johnson, and a shot by Treble to save. Herlovsky makes the save on Godbout as well. Herlovsky has seen the lion's share of the shots. Dan Treble goes back for the puck in his own end. Fires it in front of his own net to Godbout. Now the outlet pass to center. Jesse Bertley out in over the line for Fiebelkorn. His shot off escape, but right to Larson. Larson behind the net to Fiebelkorn again. Good tempo here in the first period. Pulled off the wall by Larson. Right in front for Bertley. Oh, what a save by Herlovsky. And he holds on as Minnesota is storming here in period 1. There's no score between the Terriers and the Golden Gophers.
Dave Larson with a nice pass across ice here to Bertliot, who comes in. Watch the little flip right here, but also Herlovsky right in on the doorstep. Kind of fooled him a little bit, but he was able to keep his mind focused on where that puck was going to be. Bertliot trying to get a little more wood onto it, but he was being bothered at the same time. But a key save by Derek Herlovsky as Bertliot almost put one into the net.
Now the Terriers behind their own net. Kailina had it for a moment, then he took quite a rap there from Dave Larson. Lena back to get it again. The 3-year letter winner for the Terriers puts it right in front of his own net for Thornton. Thornton stick handles past Fiebelkorn, now to center, to the Minnesota line. Lena, the defenseman, gets a shot off. Callanan kicks out, big rebound, and it's taken away by Andy Brink. Brink flips it out at center ice and back under the control now of John Coleman. Coleman for the Terriers to center. Flips it up ahead for Chris Sullivan. O'Sullivan, I beg your pardon. It's kicked in behind the net by Prendergast. And Minnesota regains control. This is Wachman. Pankratz gets it out of the zone. Kelty playing it back for Coleman. Coleman's pass knocked down at the line by Bell. The puck is still in the zone. Bell outnumbered, fires it across, and no one's there except the Terriers. And it's raced out to center ice by Prendergast. He brings it in, stopped, back to the point. It's deflected. Shot stopped by Callanan. Prendergast gets the rebound. Kelty at the line shooting, and that's tipped wide of the target. Here's Joubert. Back behind the net. A loose puck grab now by Scott Bell. 6 minutes into the game, no score. Bell to Kraft at center. Now Pankratz bringing it in. Pankratz to his backhand, rolls it right in front. It hit a skate. I think it hit a BU skate, and Herlovsky had to make a big save. Now Siles from center ice, pumping it right back in. Kelty from behind his own net. Takes a thundering hit from Jason Siles to the delight of the crowd. Stiege firing. He fired it wide. And apparently a whistle, either offside or a penalty out at center.
I think Kelty is hurt on that play because Siles hit him. He had a hard time getting up. But both these teams doing a good job of moving the puck and making those passes. Watch this play by the freshman Jason Siles. He comes right into the big guy, Jeff Kelty, who's 6'4", 190 pounds, and he went down heavily. His helmet came back, but he was in a little bit of a fog there trying to get back up to his skates, which he finally was able to do. But both these teams have really started out in this first period, and they know what it takes to make some things happen, and they have played extremely well.
Siles gives up 8 inches to Kelty. Long, hard shot by Chris Drury, turned away by Callanan. An 8-inch difference on that hit, and Siles really had him lined up well. Stiege in the corner. Now Dan Hendrickson, brother of the former U.S. Olympian Darby Hendrickson. Stiege jammed up on the wall. Terriers get it, skate it to center, and from the red checkered line tried to shoot it in. Kicked in deeper by Donatelli, the freshman. Now Godbout out at center for Hendrickson, but it's wrapped away from him by Coleman. Treble's pass is picked off. Here comes Matt Wright, but they bring it in offside at the Minnesota line.
Frank, both of these teams doing a good job of moving the puck very quickly. They're not trying to beat everyone with the puck, carrying that puck. They're making the play, they're getting into those open positions, and that's what you want to have happen. There's Matt Wright out of Belmont, Massachusetts, very physical player, has not seen a lot of action this year, but one that Coach Jack Parker says he's a player of the future for us.
At the blue line, it's popped loose and back out at center. Now Dan Wood. Left wing pass, knocked down, brought in by Pankratz. Good job to control, but then finally in the tangle he lost it. It's shot down by the Terriers, crosses the line, and it's an icing call, so they're going to give up about maybe 35 or 40 feet here, Tom, because they cleared it from the blue line. They're going to go face it off back at their face-off dot.
I think that's the first icing call of this hockey game, and that tells you both teams are trying to control that puck. They just don't want to shoot it down the ice. They're trying to make the passes, and for the most part, those passes have been right on the stick. And when you've got that type of a combination, Frank, of skating and passing and things working, it makes for a much better, entertaining game from the fans' viewpoint, but also from the player side as well.
Checo, Kraft, Bonin up front for Minnesota as Jack Parker makes a couple of notes to look on now for this face-off, and apparently Bonin and Lena encroached on the circle before they dropped the puck.
Both of these coaches seemed pretty loose before the game.
Oh, they were.
They also know the importance of winning this game. In fact, Doug went out for a little bit of a run prior to the game, just kind of loosen up a little bit.
Much to the chagrin of the media, who wanted some pregame interviews, both radio and television. But he's back. That's customary for Wood, so I guess we ought to be used to it. In the corner, Chris O'Sullivan shooting it around. It's an open wing there and picked up by Brian Bonin. Ryan Kraft, watched by Coleman. Jammed up in the corner. Bonin trying to pry it free, but Kraft does it himself. Turns, shoots, and it's knocked down in front by the Terrier defense. There's Kai Lena to block that shot. What a move by Kraft to come out of the corner.
Boy, that shows you the confidence coming back into him as well. He was a little bit hesitant for a few games, but the hat trick we talked about in the pregame, the fact that he got that yesterday gives him more confidence to shoot that puck as well.
Out at center ice, relayed across by O'Sullivan. Terriers 3-on-2. The drop to O'Sullivan, it failed to click, and now Larson brings it back to center. Here's Andy Brink. Brink 3-on-2. Goes to his backhand. Stops. Centers it. And a good defensive play by O'Sullivan to knock it away.
That was a great play. Him coming back in deep. Although he's the winger, he had to come back in to help his defenseman, and he was able to do just that.
Sullivan very used to playing defense as he's moved up from the defensive position to forward this season. We have a stoppage on the ice. We'll take a break here in the Mariucci Classic. We're coming up on one of those milestone marks in a period, that 10-minute mark where a visiting coach wants to hold the home team scoreless in those first 10 minutes to take the crowd out of the game. And this crowd is starting to get a little bit more subdued, even though Minnesota started out with a flurry.
Well, they really did, Frank, and you're right on that fact. When you're a visiting team, you don't have to look pretty out there. You just have to get the job done. And Jack Parker, I'm sure, has told his players, come on, guys, let's go out there, play a type of game we're used to. Let's not be flashy. Let's just score some goals and keep them from scoring any.
One of the only flashy players that Boston University has needed right now is Herlovsky, who makes the save, but the rebound to Feeblecorn, and a goal, his first of the year. Jed Feeblecorn has gone through a drought that few of us could endure, but he has scored a goal here.
Everyone just moved away from him. They couldn't get up to him, and the guy who's 6'4", 209 pounds, the senior, just broke out of the corner. There was about a 10-foot hole there, and with his size, and he's got quick hands as well, come in the backhand, lets the first shot go, takes the second swing, but actually, I don't think it was him who put it in, Frank. I think it may have been inadvertently put in by one of his own teammates, Matt Wright. But nonetheless, Feeblecorn will get credit for that goal, and a big goal. You talk about taking the crowd out of it, this could put the crowd right back into it.
Well, they didn't reach the 10-minute mark. They only got to 9-11 before Minnesota scored. And if indeed it did go in off of Wright, then Tom, it just adds to a long list of strange goals that we've seen in this tournament, particularly today. Jacques Joubert for the Terriers from center, shooting it in. Callanan leaving it behind the net. Jason Godbout now tied up by LaChance. Treble fires a left wing pass to Kraft, but he's bottled up. Gets some help on the play from Godbout ahead to Bonin in over the line. The drop to Checo, moving in, and the shot goes wide. Here's Treble trying to keep it alive. That's wrapped loose. Bonin was hooked. There'll be a penalty coming up here on Johnson as soon as Minnesota loses control. Puck is touched there by Prendergast, and the first penalty of this game will be called against the Terriers.
And penalty such an important part because you get your specialty teams out there, but let's take a look at the goal once again here and see if it was Matt Wright. So often when you're playing a position close to the net like that and the puck comes, you try to put it under your goaltender where he can get a piece of it. You watch Feeblecorn come out right here. He gets the piece here, but there's the stick, and I believe that was right. And you can see him looking down. So he had caught that puck. He tried to put it under the pad, or perhaps he had a second guess about putting it in the corner. Nonetheless, it counts.
And Jed will tell you it was off my stick all the way. 10 years from now, he'll have buried it. But hey, first of the year, and actually his first goal since last February. As I said, a drought that few of us could endure. It's a hooking penalty on Prendergast at 10:06. Minnesota to the first power play of this hockey game. All right, beg your pardon, that penalty is going to go to Shane Johnson. Set the penalty kill and special units as soon as we can. As you look at numbers for Minnesota, 25 of 98 for 26%. A very good mark. And I'm sure Boston University would like to improve this penalty killing by a substantial margin, down to just 72% on the penalty kill. We have a hand pass here out at the blue line, and we'll have a face-off. Ewan McCall and your Union 76 dealers bring you our leaderboard here. Here are the penalty kill numbers across the country. Minnesota coming into this weekend right at the top at 93.5. Lake State is in there, as well as Harvard from the ECAC and Colorado College from the WCHA. Who are the top power play teams in the country? Well, it would be Maine at the top, and there is BU right there at 30.05. With Bowling Green and Michigan State and Michigan, all three of them coming out of the CCHA.
Well, BU wasn't in the top 10 there as far as penalty killers, but last night they were 6 for 6 in killing off the penalties, and so that has to give them some added incentive and confidence as well.
Still a minute 20 to go on that minor penalty to Shane Johnson, the sophomore. And we have a couple of penalties coming up. A rough, perhaps, and an interference. Ryan Kraft heading off for Minnesota. Chris O'Sullivan in wonderment right behind him.
Well, I think we got a roughing penalty going as well. And referee Jerry Krieger standing right on the doorstep there. And just O'Sullivan going to the box right now.
There's O'Sullivan and Kraft. He takes Kraft down. Oh, he picked up the puck and threw it.
He should have dribbled it twice and then shot it. Would have been okay.
Well,
so this gives the Gophers a two-man advantage, at least 1:17 to go on the penalty to number 27, Shane Johnson. And this is where the Gophers have excelled all season long in having a two-man advantage. This is such an important time in this game. The Gophers lead 1-0, but they would like nothing better than to capitalize on this two-man short situation for BU.
Tom, the deal is, you know, in the last year or two, they put the rule that in your defensive zone, you can glove the puck ahead to a teammate as long as you're in your zone. What you can't do, and what O'Sullivan did, is grasp it. And that's the reason for the delay of game call.
Jack Parker was questioning the official on the call, but nonetheless, that is the rule, and the officials have done a good job in this tournament.
That's another reason why I don't particularly care for that rule, because you get into a situation now where you're inviting a player to use his hand to play the puck, and now it becomes sometimes a matter of interpretation, or is he squeezing it too hard, or did he squeeze it too long? O'Sullivan got nabbed there. Big part of the game for Minnesota. They're already up 1-0, and they've got a two-man advantage for roughly another minute. Brian Bonin brings it in. Hangs onto it. Now Andy Brink. Over to Dan Treble. Andy Brink again. And a Treble. They're looking for a one-timer, but they can't get it right now. Brink. Treble the one-timer. Big save, Herlovsky. And it's golfed out of there by Coleman. Treble. And Brink. A whistle. Maybe someone in the crease.
Well, both Larson and Kraft are standing down in front of Herlovsky trying to screen a little bit, and they did it. I think it was Kraft who got the right skate into the crease area. And the official, Jerry Krieger, very quick to make the call, get the stoppage of play, and that's a break for BU as they get a chance to change some of their penalty killers at the same time.
Well, that opportunity they finally got on the one-timer was by Dan Treble.
You watch right here, what you're trying to do is open things up and get the opposition moving. The shot coming by Brink, the little fake there, and also over to Treble, who takes it. Herlovsky makes the save, good rebound, but Coleman able to get it out of the dangerous area as well.
Under 30 on the two-man advantage, right in front for Bonin, and off the heel of his stick and into the corner, cleared by Rich Brennan. Kraft, Brink, Kraft to Treble, and it hopped away from him. It might have been tipped by Doug Wood. Dug out now by Dave Larson, Bonin, and a Kraft. 8 on the two-man advantage. Another 45 on the power play. A deflection by Bonin, and a goal.
Well, that's what I talked about, and trying to move the players into a position where they have the good shot, trying to get the defense to break down a little bit. The shot really has to be, the play has to begin at the point position, and so often you get the defense back here like Andy Brink controlling things. The little pass back here, Kraft will take the shot, but look where Bonin is. It went right between the pads of the goaltender, Derek Herlovsky, and you'll see if Bonin just gets a piece of it, just enough to deflect it, and that's a goaltender's nightmare as he was not able to handle it. And so the Gophers score a power play goal. They lead 2-0.
13 this year for Brian Bonin. 5 have come on the power play. Ryan Kraft will get an assist on that one. Kraft and Bonin are tied for the lead for Minnesota in power play goals. Perhaps more importantly here is that Minnesota scored with 4 seconds remaining on the Johnson penalty. So they still have another 47 seconds of power play hockey. And now Jack Parker is very adamant about a point that he is making with Jerry Krieger.
That's in the
Well, he's
book.
got the captain out there right now.
You got no choice.
Joubert.
You've got no choice there. That's in the, that one's in the book. That one's in the book. The hell is that all about? Once you blow the whistle, it's a penalty. Automatic. Automatic. That's in the book.
Jack Parker is is a member of the NCAA Ice Hockey Committee. I'm not going to challenge him on the rule book interpretation.
No, neither am I.
Although I'm not sure where the whistle blew that he thought there should be a penalty. It escaped our view. But usually you don't get quite that adamant unless you're dead sure. I'd say Parker probably had a pretty good gripe there. Now Lena to pick up the loose puck. There's 20 seconds, I beg your pardon, left in the power play. Lena shorthanded, bringing it in, and the centering pass just got away from Ken Roush. Now Minnesota back the other way. Godbout drops it. Here's Checo. Moser into the corner now for Woog, and back to Moser. Penalty is over. O'Sullivan is on. Godbout fires a block, and it's back to center ice. Knocked away by O'Sullivan. A breakaway from center ice. Callanan the save, and there is no goal. It never crossed the line, and that's the biggest horseshoe I've ever seen. Minnesota sends it all the way down, but there's no icing. I have never seen a luckier play at the goal line than that one. From behind the net, here's Coleman. Up on the far rail. And out to center ice for O'Sullivan, who gets it in over the line. Thornton centers it, beautiful play. And Callanan makes a big save on Shane Johnson. Now to the corner again. Mike Prendergast playing it back around. The Terriers looking for a change, and Minnesota gets the puck. Hendrickson relays it off the wall, and Stiege shoots it in. Back behind the net, here's Shane Johnson again. Boy, believe me, as soon as we get a break, we'll take a look at that close play at the goal line. But we've had very few whistles in this, the first period, which Minnesota leads 2-0, 6 minutes to go. In deep, they center it, and the pass by Pandolfo is picked off. Feeblecorn brings it to center ice. He has Minnesota's first goal. 3-on-2, now back to Brink. The shot headed for the corner, but just wide of the target. Now here's Larson. Feeblecorn after it. Larson molds his way through the crowd to get the puck in front, but then lost it. And Pandolfo shoots it out to Minnesota territory. Treble watched on the play by Bob LaChance. Here's Godbout from behind his own net. Treble forces it to center. Taken away by Chris Drury. Now LaChance lines up and lets a shot go, a sizzler, but it went wide. Another shot turned away. LaChance shooting. That's turned away by Callanan as well. And Treble fires it to center as the Terriers have really unleashed a flurry on Jeff Callanan, but he is standing up to the test right now. Here's Woog. And out to center. Pankratz has trouble with it. Bothered on the play by the checking of Chris Drury, and now Scott Bell. Across to center for Wadley to Bell in over the line. His shot was deflected. It goes behind the net. Pankratz quick to jump on the loose puck. Woog. And now his pass picked off. An errant pass finally comes through to the Terriers. And out to center ice, Bill Pierce in over the line. Drury waiting, centering it. The deflection is stopped by Callanan. He's under a pile, but he has the puck. What a first period. 2-0 the score. At least Jack Parker might be irate, but he's settled down now.
Well, Chris O'Sullivan with 15 goals on the year, almost had 16. Watch right here. O'Callaghan going down, but look where that puck is right now. Moser coming back. He's taking, just pushing it away, and finally the goaltender gets a piece of it, and finally Danny Woog coming in to also to put it back into the corner. But O'Sullivan making a good play here. O'Callaghan equal to the task. He got a piece of it, but it had not been for the defenseman coming back, it would have been a sure goal.
There is no penalty shot here, by the way, because Moser did not cover up or grasp the puck in the crease. He just played it out with the hand. Bonin shooting, that was deflected. As Johnson hung tough, or Coleman hung tough with him, and Minnesota nearly had a chance there. Brought back in by O'Sullivan. Sidesteps the check, but went down. Brink gets the loose puck. He's got Bonin breaking. Instead, he finds Kraft. Now to Bonin and to Kraft. Around one. And the centering pass taken away by Thornton, who was upended. There'll be a penalty on Minnesota here. Derek Krieger quick to call that one. The Terriers down by 2. Will go to the manpower advantage and a chance to tie or become within 1.
Well, Nick Checo coming back into the play, or inadvertently tripped his man, and as a result, there will be a penalty called against the Gophers, and they will be shorthanded in a game which they lead by a score of 2-0.
And a rare first period lead for Minnesota, a team that this season has struggled mightily in the first 20 minutes of play. Here they're up by 2, but now down one man on the ice. Wachman. They flip it in. O'Sullivan has it. This cross rink. Now Brennan plays it out at center. Far side brought in by Pandolfo, and they shoot it in. Waiting for it is Prendergast. Joubert. Now Pandolfo once more back to the point for Brennan. Sends it right in front. Tipped by Treble for Minnesota. And Prendergast plays it back to the line for O'Sullivan. Kept in by Brennan. Good play. Prendergast stand on the centering pass, and it's tipped out of the zone by Treble. Still 90 seconds on the power play. Here's O'Sullivan shooting it in. Wachman, first man of the puck, but he's bothered there by Pandolfo. And it's driven around. Not out. O'Sullivan. Brennan. Far side. A blast and a goal. A rocket by Pandolfo. What a bullet that was. And the Terriers are within a goal now on this power play.
That was a nice goal, a picture goal all the way around. Good passing as Pandolfo's the guy who pulled the trigger on that one, but a nicely passing play with Brennan getting the puck over to Pandolfo after taking the pass from number 3, Chris O'Sullivan. It starts here. You've got to make the pass on the stick, a little fake across ice, and all of a sudden one time, and that's a long way out too. O'Callaghan not able to handle it, and that's a key goal, a power play goal. They scored 3 for 6 last night. They've now scored 4 for 7 in the Mariucci Classic.
Number 4 this season for Jay Pandolfo, the junior, who is coming back after a stomach injury and has been practically red hot since his return to the lineup. This is a power play goal. And O'Sullivan will get the second assist there. Rich Brennan, the first assist at 16:56 on the power play marker. And there's our score, 2-1, 3:04 to go. And what has been an electric first period here in Minneapolis. The shots now, by the way, are even. 10 shots per team late in this first stanza. Now a BU player trapped in a pile. And I wonder if that's why we didn't get a whistle from referee Greg Shepard, or did he see a hand pass? In either case, Wright gets up out of the pile. He's in good shape.
That's a key goal also for BU, because coming back when you're down 2-0, you're near the last few minutes of the period. You want to get something going, so when you go in the dressing room, it gives you a little bit more incentive coming out for the next period as well. But plenty of time in this hockey game, just a 1-goal difference.
At center ice, Siles brings it in for Minnesota. Lets a shot go that Herlovsky had trouble with. Flipped out at the right wing boards for Wright, breaking in. He's got Pierce trailing. Wright gets the shot off, and Callanan makes the save. Did a great job of getting that shot off with Jay Moser all over him, doing everything except drawing the penalty. Stiege to center and then shooting it in from the red center line. Minnesota changing, so are the Terriers, at least part of the lineup. At center ice, it's played ahead by O'Sullivan, now taken away by the Minnesota defense. Larson feeding in into the left wing side. Woods shooting it right back out. Knocked down by the glove hand of Prendergast. Here's Feeblecorn in the slot, went to pull the trigger. And Herlovsky sees that big beach ball coming at him, and he's going to hang on to it. Wants no chance for a rebound or a garbage goal.
I thought they were going to call offside on that play, but that was not the case. And finally, Derek Herlovsky able to grab onto that puck. As you look at the goaltender, who, as Frank mentioned earlier, played his high school hockey at Edison High School here in Minneapolis, and played for the St. Paul Vulcans as well in the USHL Junior League.
Well, the folks back in Boston well aware of all of the great talent of Derek Herlovsky, and we welcome those of you watching on WABU TV 68 and our viewers in the upper Midwest on Midwest Sports Channel. It's been an interesting weekend of hockey, and an interesting weekend for us from the television standpoint to be able to work with the good folks from WABU. Sean Grandy will be joining us between periods. We should let the folks in Boston know to bring us interviews from just outside the dressing rooms. 1:55 to go here in period 1. There's a look at Jason Godbout, one of Minnesota's freshman class here, and an excellent freshman class it is, Tom.
There's no question that Doug Boog really has an advantage here with this new building. Of course, putting on the maroon and gold of the University of Minnesota gives him a quite an edge, I think, in other schools of bringing some of the players here from the state of Minnesota. All the Minnesota players, or all the players on the Minnesota team are from Minnesota.
Here's Gottbaut firing. It was fired wide. 90 seconds now left in the period, and Treble goes back for it. Treble being chased by Roush, and now Gottbaut again. Here's Pankratz. At the line off a stick. Lena now. And at the blue line, Brennan plays it ahead. It goes in deep. Might have a 2-on-1 here. They look for Pandolfo and couldn't deliver. Pankratz did a good job there to cut off that rush by Chris Drury, an outstanding freshman in his own right. Here's Treble, lobbing it out at center. Another 60 seconds to go here in period number 1. Rich Brennan in his own end. Finds Jay Pandolfo. Fires a long shot. It went wide. He has the lone Terrier goal, then a power play. Prendergast with the takeaway, and Feeblecorn goes after the loose puck. Now LaChance with a near interception. Brennan helping out, and Zwackman again. Now to Dave Larson, who has to spin for it, then lost his footing. Pandolfo left wing in deep. Here's Joubert. Looked like he had the corner, but stuffed it just wide. Bertliot got it ahead to Bonin. Now with Larson, Bonin brings it in, hangs on to it. Bertliot back to Bonin, and it goes to the corner. Brink has it. 15 to go in the period. Bertliot shooting. Herlovsky a big save, and the big rebound is taken away by Pandolfo. An interception at center ice by Checo, Zwackman, and Brink. Minnesota have too many men on the ice? Might have, but there was no whistle, and the horn sounds to bring the first 20 minutes of hockey to an end. We'll take a break. It's Minnesota 2 and BU 1. We'll be back in Minneapolis after this.
All right, guys, from the hockey hotbed that is South Bend, Indiana, the captain of the Terriers, Jacques Joubert. Jacques, tough first period. The idea, obviously, on the road is to come out here and weather the storm, and then you go down 2-0 right away, but you come back with the power play goal towards the end.
Yeah, the goal definitely at the end of the period was big for us. You know, we get down 2-0. We were down to 2 men there on a 5-on-3 on a couple maybe questionable calls there, but we knew we'd face some adversity from the referees being here from the WCHA. You know, we didn't battle back like we thought we would in the 5-on-3 situation. They got one, went up by 2 goals, but you know, getting that goal late was big.
How important are these tournament games to play for? You go out to LA and you play Maine in a championship game, and obviously here you're playing a game not only that's a tournament type game in a championship setting, but against one of the top teams in the country.
Right. You want to build every, during the year in a tournament situation, get that atmosphere ready for the end of the year, and especially against a team that you're not going to face during the regular season, like in Minnesota. They're top in the WCHA usually every year in and year out. And we're supposedly one of the better teams in Hockey East. It's a big emotional battle between a couple top teams in the country, and it is an important game.
That's Jacques Joubert, the Terrier captain. Back upstairs to Frank.
Along with Tom Reed and Sean Grandy, this is Frank Mazzacco at Mariucci Arena, the championship game of the '94 tournament. Welcome to those of you on Midwest Sports Channel as well as WABU television. Here's a look at the Champion Auto Store's Crown Auto Service Center's numbers for period number 1. Shots pretty even. Minnesota with a 3 face-off edge, and those won. The power play's pretty even, and we'll start this period here at even strength on the ice. 5 skaters aside. Only 51 seconds on the power play before Boston University converted its power play goal. Plenty of action coming up on Midwest Sports Channel next weekend, as well as most of the teams will be back into conference play. For the Golden Gophers, they will be traveling to the UP, the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, to take on the Northern Michigan Wildcats. Friday and Saturday, 6 o'clock starts here on MSC. Half hour before each game, the Doug Woog Show. Might mention to you that Northern Michigan lost 2 home games this week to Ferris State. And that is a real man bites dog story. They hardly ever lose up there. That's where Minnesota will be heading. I believe Boston University has 1 game on tap for next week, and I apologize for not having that right off the tip of the tongue here. I think they will return to conference play with just a single game next week. We'll bring you up to date on that in a moment. 2-1, the Golden Gophers have the lead over the Terriers. Now here's Jason Godbout. Ryan Bonin picks it up. Spins, fires it in front, and Kraft was looking to drive it in. Might have gone off the shaft of his stick or the blade and went up out of play. Holiday time means hockey tournament time. And boy, we've got a lot of tournaments going on. These happen to be non-conference games, non-tournament games. Amherst with a 4-3 win over Notre Dame. That was an overtime victory, so they split that series. Colorado College out to play Fairbanks a little bit later on today. In the Old Lang Syne tournament, Illinois-Chicago winner in the third-place game. Dartmouth and Vermont playing for the championship. They're tied at 2 in the third. We'll bring you up to date on some other scores a little bit later on. Here's Bob LaChance, 3-on-2 breakout, but that puck seemed to stick on him at the last second. Prendergast from center. And they throw it in deep. Now Jeff Callanan playing it around. Feeblecorn waiting for it. He's blocked. The Terriers pop it in front. This is Brink. Nice block at the line. Coleman fires. A hot glove catch by Callanan, and he holds on. What a sizzling shot from the sophomore, John Coleman.
It certainly was, and one thing you don't want to do is give that puck away in your own zone. Brink had good control of the puck. He was trying to play it hard enough off the boards, but really didn't have a lot of room to move there. He played off, and Coleman going down as a defenseman, go down on one knee. He blocked the shot. Look where he moves in. Right a good shooting angle, but right into the glove of goaltender Jeff Callanan, who came out also to challenge that shooter. And a goaltender has got to be smart as well, making sure when he comes out like that, he can react fast enough, and he did just that, and finally get a stoppage of play.
This puck is lobbed high in the air before it comes down out at center ice. Now brought ahead by Lena. And picked up by Jay Moser again. Wasley off the stick of Feeblecorn, put right back in front, but Moser is there to take it away. Moser intending a pass for Larson, but he was going off on a change, had no idea it was coming. And it'll be icing. Had he at least seen it and been able to tip it, the icing would have been waved off.
Once the player has designated that he's going to the box and he looks at a player saying, I'm coming off this, you come on. If he touches that puck, they may be called for too many men on the ice. And I don't think he was quite certain whether or not the player was coming on the ice, so he elected not to touch it. And of course, that icing call will bring him back to the Minnesota zone.
Now a last-second change for Minnesota as we're seeing a lot of line juggling going on here, but Greg Shepard apparently isn't going to allow it. He's calling numbers. He's calling guys back to the bench. Just to bring you up to date very quickly on the BU schedule, they'll be at home at the Walter Brown Arena on January 6th for a single game against New Hampshire. Just keep all of you Terrier fans up to date on what's happening. Sure, after that long discussion with Jack Parker, these officials here are going to be probably even did a little rule book review between periods. You know, they all carry them, have some pages highlighted for key things they need to look for. Icing coming up here, yes, it will be called, and they'll be back in the Terrier zone.
And officials, obviously, there's changes from year to year, and you've got to be up on the rules. And those are some of the guys like Jack Parker who help write those rules, so you don't have to know what you're talking about.
We'll be right back after this break. 2-1. Minnesota leads, and I've never seen anything like this. The Minnesota mascot is up in a cherry picker, and the fans are calling for him to turn his head, which is a bit of a tradition here, to get him to spin that macrame head or whatever it's made of. So he gets the crowd. Here's Brian Bonin all alone, and his shot goes behind the net. I think it was tipped by the glove of Herlovsky. Jeff Callanan now to leave it for Treble. Out to center ice, Brian Bonin. Brings it in, stops in the slot. Checo trying to spin free. But Rich Brennan with a good job to knot him up and prevent him from getting the shot off.
That was really a good play by the part of Brennan. He just took Checo out of the play. Checo with a good possession of the puck, but Brennan just took the man out. And that, by taking the man out, just let the puck go loose where his teammates could control.
That's one of those situations where kids would learn what checking is all about. Here's Bell, a wraparound try, the rebound! Oh, wait a minute, no goal! Or is it?
You see the official standing right down on the doorstep, and Greg Shepard standing there. He's holding the puck, giving it to Brian Bonin. Bonin standing behind the net. He thought he had it. His stick was in the air, but that was not to be the case, as Derek Herlovsky was down on top on all fours on those big pads, and he had a piece of it, making certain it didn't go over that goal line.
I saw Greg Shepard pointing, and that generally or sometimes will indicate that the puck is in the net, which is the official signal. But he was pointing that no, it's outside on the crease. Let's take a look at it here.
Once again, Minnesota controlling the puck here. You don't want to give it away. Shot coming across from Scotty Bell, but watch on the far side. There's Urbanen, takes a shot. He puts his stick up in the air, but it was not to be. And Bell almost doing equally a good job on the wraparound there, trying to get that puck in. A lot of action around that net. But referee Greg Shepard, as we mentioned, on top of the play. And Brian Bond shaking his head thinking, I thought it was in. That was not the case.
It's not too often you'll see a player being able to convince someone that there's a goal just by throwing his arms up in the air. They try it, but I haven't seen it work yet. We're still early here in period number 2. And Minnesota with a 2-1 lead over BU. The Terriers play it back behind their own net. Senior Herlovsky shooting it around. It takes a carom. Bell. What a hit he threw into Lena. And Minnesota regains control at center. Here comes Bell. Got a shot off, but Lena broke it up, and then Lena knocked Pankratz down. Herlovsky tipping it free. And we're into a shift or two here of some rather physical play, which we didn't see very much of in period 1, at least not the bone-crunching kind of stuff. An errant pass by Lena will come in on the Minnesota goal, so there's no icing. Back out at center ice, controlled by Rausch. Now Lena, and he launches it all the way down. They were pressured into making that pass, and it forced an icing. And I think one of the things Minnesota is doing quite well here, Tom, is that they're forcing the defense for Boston University to make some quick decisions and get rid of the puck in a hurry.
Well, that's what you want to do. You don't want to give the defenseman that time to move that puck to any great extent. That first period we saw some good skating on the part of both teams. This period has been a little bit closer checking. Boston with, I think, a little more physical team, a little bigger size here, but the Gophers, even with some of their smaller guys, doing a good job of getting in front of the opposition, and you don't always have to knock the man down. Just get a piece of him, impede his progress, and that's what they've been doing.
From the face-off, the shot goes into the corner. That's what we were talking about earlier about Brennan's play out front. A lot of kids think a check means bone rattling and calling a stretcher out. Oh, a big blast from the blue line by Jason Siles, who's having a whale of a game here. And a hot save again by Herlovsky. Here's Siles hustling after the puck once more and driving it in deep. Stiege with it. They leave him alone, and his backhand is turned away by Herlovsky. And then Stiege was cracked into the pipe hard. He was really rammed in there by Matt Wright. And it looked like he had his neck go against the pipe. He had a concussion last year, which kept him out of most of the season, but he's okay now.
Well, it was like the Red Sea opened there. Stiege just came into the fold there, and you can see as he took the shot, he was taken up by Matt Wright and went in the net area. You can see where that neck is positioned against that bar, but he appears to be okay. And play is back underway.
Well, I thought for sure we'd see him with an ice pack up there. Out at center ice, Jacques Joubert, and hopped away. Callanan comes out to knock at the Feeblecorn. He gets it out of the zone. From center, flipped right back in by Johnson. Godbout tried to get it behind his net. It took a bad carom. Now a little wraparound try is stopped by Callanan as LaChance tried to stuff it in. Here's Feeblecorn. Up the middle, his left wing pass too far, and now Brennan. Tipped at the line and taken away by Treble. He hauls it in and throws it to the corner. Minnesota will make a change on the go. First man of the puck is Johnson. Tied up by Checo. Brennan trying to get it out and does. Treble has trouble with it. LaChance goes after it. Wasley shoots it away from LaChance. Now Brian Bonin. Back behind the net now to Minnesota. The Golden Gophers with a 2-1 lead over the Terriers. Still pretty early here in period number 2. A steal by O'Sullivan. Then that puck somehow just hopped in the air and it came to Minnesota. Kraft. Checo tips it in. Takes a bump from Coleman. Kraft with the puck in the corner. Coleman back to get the loose puck. And tries the other door. Skates it to the line. No passing lanes. Everything was shut off and he had to just eat the puck. Frequently you'll see that in a football game, but you rarely will be able to spot it so quickly in hockey as they're hit the blue line and say, now where do I go? Now Moser tipped at the line and it's picked up by Bell. Trying to beat the D. Gets the shot off and Herlovsky makes the save. Kraft in the corner. Now Bell again to Kraft. And it's wrapped away from him by Herlovsky. Kraft puts it in front, taken away by Lena. Bell broke it up. Bell gets the loose puck as he got some help from Brink. And now Zwakman thinks better of going in deep and allows Coleman to handle it. He wants to ice it to relieve pressure, and he does so with some authority.
Well, we're getting some chances at both ends. That was a situation where the defenseman Kailina was a little bit flat-footed when Scotty Bell broke in on that right wing. He was able to get ahead of the defenseman. At the same time, he had to cut in, and that closed the gap down just a little bit. Long stretch here. He got the shot on the goaltender, Derek Herlovsky, who made the save, and then a clearing attempt by the Boston players. And that makes a big difference. I'll tell you, when you've got the players coming back like that, the goaltender makes that first save. It's got to be cleared immediately by the defenseman or forwards coming back in. And the Terriers doing a good job of that.
Woog, Bell, Pankratz out for Minnesota. Drury, Roush, Donatelli out for the Terriers. Bell, shot deflected, and it hops right over to Wright. Matt Wright now, as apparently the Terriers are making a couple of adjustments in their line. Wright is out with Drury as well as Roush, not Donatelli, the freshman. At center ice, here's Bell. Tries a right wing feed, and it goes off Kelty's skate into the corner. Tipped to center ice, and then flipped all the way down the rink by Doug Wood, but he had not crossed the red center line, so it's icing.
I think the fans here at the Mariucci Arena have been treated to a pretty good game between these two hockey clubs at this point in the hockey game. 13:20 to go in the second period here. Both teams skating. They both have the ability to play the body. Boston U perhaps a little more physical as far as size go, but you've got to be able to catch the players too. And this big ice surface at Olympic size at 200 by 100 certainly is an advantage to the smaller skaters with a great speed.
The chances line out with Pandolfo and Joubert, the center iceman. Here's Siles. This would be Minnesota's fourth line. Stiege and Hendrickson on the wings. And it's back out at center. Now Godbout. Treble. Godbout again. And to Dan Treble once more. They relay it to the line for Stiege. He took a punishing hit from Johnson. Boy, that was a good open ice hit. Out of the corner, Hendrickson rapping at it. And it's flipped all the way down. There will be icing here. 12 minutes and 40 seconds to go here in the second period in the championship game of the Mariucci Classic.
Well, you watch Jesse Burley out taking the hit right here, and that's a good hit on the part of number 27, Shane Johnson, who suffered a dislocated shoulder against Princeton in the Great Western Freeze-Out at Thanksgiving time, but he, or that was Stiege he hit, I should say. And nonetheless, he certainly was able to just check out and showed no effects of that shoulder problem he had earlier on in the season.
Face off to the left of Derek Herlovsky. Feeblecorn waved out. Bertliot is in. And the draw won by Steve Thornton. Out of the corner once more. Lena off Prendergast and picked up by Bertliot over to Godbout. Getting some pressure from Thornton, who broke up the pass with a good play. Loose puck. No one really seems to be able to want it or get it. Finally, Treble. Bertliot at center. Shot deflected. Gets it back and shoots one. What a play by Bertliot. A lot of situations you'll just see a player say, okay, that was my opportunity. But Bertliot went after the second and nearly scored on it. From behind the net, Coleman knocking it around. O'Sullivan trying to get it out. They throw it away again. Might be icing. It is. It just missed the crease.
Well, Frank, you're absolutely right when you give that second effort, and that's what so often scouts will look for when they're watching players, to see what type of an effort they will give after being taken off the puck. He'll come in here. He has good possession of the puck initially. He's not very big in stature. A good pass right onto the stick of him. He comes in. The first shot takes place. It's kind of blocked down, but he has that incentive to go back after it again, and Herlovsky making the save with that big pad of his.
Bertliot, a junior, and one of my favorite stats about him, Tom, that in high school he received 14 athletic letters in 4 sports: hockey, football, track, and baseball. That's a busy prep athlete.
I don't know how he did in his studies.
I'm sure he did quite well. Got into a Big Ten school.
Yep.
Out at center. Wrapped away. Now Joubert. trying to turn it into an advantage for the Terriers. Hauled down, but no penalty, and now Wasley. Here's Bonin. 3-on-2 breakout for the Golden Gophers. Bonin, the drop to Kraft and easily picked off by LaChance. They got a man breaking, and it's offside. Joubert lifted the trailing leg, and it was offside at the Minnesota line.
He tried to hold back. He made the good play there. He was knocked down initially by Wasley, and that's why he was so far behind the defense. But all of a sudden, that pass came right back to him. You watch right here. They lose the puck here. You make the long pass when you've got the capabilities to do that. LaChance makes it right on. But you can see there that awfully close, and every red and white jersey was standing on the bench over there questioning the call. But nonetheless, once the whistle goes, that is it. But he's not the type of guy, Jacques Joubert, you want coming in on a breakaway, because you know he can put the puck in the net.
You need to have at least one leg in contact with that blue line or back out at center ice in order to be onside, and they really did not. And so they blew the whistle. At center ice, Roush got it in, and it's shot to the corner. Now right upended. There'll be a penalty on Zwackman coming up here. And as Minnesota gains control of the puck, the interference call is made.
As Walkman is questioning it, but he's going to the box. That was Matt Wright who was going down for it. He may have got a piece of him, but nonetheless, all the arguing won't help. He will get the penalty.
Terriers are perfect on the power play, 1-for-1. They'll try to tie the score again. An all-league player out of Belmont High School, Matt Wright, was upended, went, we think, skate first into the boards. Might have jarred a knee or two here.
You can see his Walkman just get the little bit of a stick on him just to kind of hook enough to pull him down, and so he will get the penalty for interference.
He made a quick trip down the tunnel towards the dressing room, did a couple of deep knee bends to get loosened up, and is back on the bench. So it is a power play. The Terriers second. They're 1-for-1, and they're down by 1. They try to force it in deep. It hops loose to the corner. Grabbed by Bonin. Did he get it past Coleman? No. LaChance rifles it in front. Now to the blue line. Here's Lena. Work it in deep again. Prendergast back to Lena. Coleman. And they go deep once more. Back to the line. And it gets away. Little hustle by Bill Pierce to keep it alive. Bonin finally gains control and shoots it out.
Gophers are really challenging the Terriers when they have the puck there. They're not giving them much of a chance to set up, and finally an errant pass will give possession to the Gophers.
Pierce from center shooting it in. 1:15 on the power play. Treble tries the other door, and it just snuck out of there. That's a very low percentage clearing opportunity, but he was able to get it past to the point.
That's a tough shot when you're a defensive standing at the blue line like that. It came off the glass, and you don't know where it's going to go as it came down. Just bounce enough to get by the defenseman.
Coleman with a minute on the man advantage. Pierce at the line. Now to Lena. Slap shot high with a rebound, and it just hopped away from Prendergast. Checo tries to get it out. Lena can't hold the zone, but a whistle apparently touched somebody on the BU bench.
Boy, and that was a break for BU because it would have been a 2-on situation with Scotty Bell and Nick Checo who would have taken that. And Bill Butter's not very happy with that call either, saying, what are you blowing the whistle for? We picked it up. But the puck left the ice surface, and that's the reason for the call. And so the faceoff will be on the red dot just outside the Minnesota blue line.
That's kind of interesting how the loudest arguments here today have been on these very technical rule interpretations. But when you're in a 2-1 game and number 3 meets number 5,
that's right,
those little things mean a lot.
Next time it's a minor. Not a good call.
Doug Woog calling for at least a minor penalty out of the deal. Doesn't get it. Callanan back behind the net. Still 35 seconds left on the penalty to Minnesota's Zwackman. Back at the line, O'Sullivan, not a Brennan. They work it in deep in a hurry, but it hopped away, and it's shot out of the rink by Nick Checo. And because he was last to touch it, the faceoff will still be in the Minnesota zone. Checo, a sophomore for Minnesota, who has lightning-like speed.
On that last play, you may have seen the goaltender, Callan, come out with the puck. He went to move it to the defenseman. Just as the defenseman went to get it, he tried to put it in a different position. It kind of handcuffed Double as he was trying to get that puck and clear it from the zone.
27 left on the power play. Joubert digging in. They're going to toss him, and they'll bring Pandolfo in. To the line, O'Sullivan. That's off the skate of Hendrickson. Brennan high slot. Out of Prendergast. Right in front, and the puck gets away from actually Mike Prendergast as that pass was from Jay Pandolfo. And Minnesota gains control and shoots it all the way down. That might wipe out the penalty to Zwackman. Only 5 seconds left. Wogan to do a little forechecking to break things up has lost his stick and goes off on a change. Zwackman steps on and the penalty killers do the job as the puck back out at center ice to Zwackman, but Pandolfo takes it away, then brings it in, looking for right. It's checked. Hendrickson gets the loose puck, pumps it to center. He's tied up by Pandolfo, and Zwackman shoots it deep in the zone. Both teams completing line changes as the puck comes back out at center. Three-man rush. Roush brings it in, and a 5-hole shot. Got through Callanan, I think, but wide of the net. Now right in front, and Coleman pushes it into the corner. Now they jam up in a solid body check thrown by Matt Wright. Kelty back at his own line. Throwing it all the way down, icing the call, and back to the Terrier zone for a face-off. And the hitting gets a little more intense here in the second period.
It really is. You can also tell by the players on the ice. A little more jabbering going back and forth between those players. You know it's getting a little more physical out there. A few more confrontations will take place between the players, but they also realize the importance of staying on the ice. They don't want to have a situation where they're going to create a penalty against their team just for the sake of getting back at someone. Coach Doug Woog very aware of the things that he has to do to make his team work. Roush taking the shot here. Watch Callan. He makes the save, but it squirts out just wide of the net, but coming very close for the Terriers of tying up this game.
For as deep as he was very lucky at that angle. That was an extreme angle for that puck to come out from behind him. And it just went wide of the far goal post. There's a look at shots on goal through about a period and a half here. 18-15. Ryan Kraft to face off now against Steve Thornton. In the slot, it's batted away by Coleman. O'Sullivan can't get it out of the zone. Nice job by Mosier to hold it in. Coleman now drops it back, and then Lena relays it to center. O'Sullivan in over the line. Pops it in the middle. Here's Lena centering it. Another pass. A third attempt. And Callanan came up big there, robbing Mike Prendergast, who reaches for the pass. Lena goes after it. Goes in deep. At the line, Coleman. Pass to the line, and Prendergast shoots it in deep. Thornton waiting for it. They put it right in front, and a big save by Callanan. He robs Mike Prendergast again.
Well, Jeff Callanan coming up big. This is one of their big lines with Chris O'Sullivan, Steve Thornton, and also Mike Prendergast. And both players were getting robbed there. Thornton also and Prendergast having the chance that they would like to have over once again. You'll watch as the Terriers control the puck here. That's number one. Where's the defense? There's two players there. Very unselfish play on the part also of Thornton to give it over to Prendergast, but he could not put it away as the avenue closed up here in an awful quick hurry as well. And you can see Jeff Callanan finally reaching onto it saying, guys, we need a stoppage to play. There's too much pressure here.
It's tipped by Pankratz to center in a foot race with two BU players. Finally lost his footing. Tied up by Brennan, but Bell gets it. Now to Dan Woog. Chased outside into the corner by Shane Johnson. Brennan with the outlet to LaChance. 3-on-3. They hit the Minnesota line and they're offside by about a mile or two. And the whistle goes. Jake Pandolfo amongst the three players to hit that line. As is Bob LaChance, who has been red hot. 10 points in his last 6 games.
And of course his brother Scott is with the New York Islanders, who are still on a little bit of a sabbatical this season, as the other NHL players are.
Strike, they call it.
Lockout.
Were strikes around? Did you walk out?
I don't think no. In my day, we didn't dare walk out. Wouldn't get a chance to play again.
You told me a couple of stories about your salary negotiations.
That's right.
Kind of here. You want it, or don't you?
This is it.
Woog diving to get it in front, and the backhand by Pankratz went wide. Good effort by Dan Woog on the right wing. Now a long pass. Pandolfo breaking in. Shallow angle fires. It ripples the outside of the net. Pandolfo back to the line. Johnson to Pandolfo. A shot right on. And Callanan is there to give up no rebound.
Well, if there was a rebound, Jacques Joubert was staying there as well, but Pandolfo, who picked up 2 assists in last night's game, And also 1 goal in this game, coming up with a good opportunity. But right here, the Gophers doing a good job as you'll see Dan Wu get the puck across here to Pancrans, who comes in, but he was just a little bit too quick with that shot. He did not control it. But also BU getting the chance right here. You see Brink getting caught at the point, little flat-footed. He was looking for the puck, and all of a sudden Pandolfo came in behind, shot just wide of the net. But they continued on putting the pressure in front of goaltender Jeff Callanan.
6:46 left to go in the period. Look at Callanan, who has started now in 16 of Minnesota's 18 games. Treble. And around for Jason Godbout. Up off the rail, out to center ice, tipped in over the line, loose puck in the corner now, Stiege. He is met there by Doug Wood. Back to the line, but intercepted. Pierce had some trouble with it, and now Treble regains control. His pass hits Hendrickson. The Terriers try to turn it around in a hurry, but Godbout is back to break it up and shoot it to center. Now from center ice, shot in by Jeff Kelty. As Callanan watches that one tear him around. Stiege checked by Pierce. Treble. And to center ice, Siles, who crosses center before he shoots it in. Goaltender Herlovsky knocking it around. Donatelli tried to play it out, picked up by Roush. Roush at center, and now to Wood. Wood into the corner, right in front of the net. He played it ahead to Roush, who got a piece of it, but steered it to the corner, then steered himself into Callanan. Looks like they'll get up out of it all right. On Tuesday, Hartford takes on Pittsburgh at 6 o'clock here on Midwest Sports Channel. Shots are even here in this hockey game, 18-18 between Minnesota and Boston University. Terriers regain control in their own end, and now to center ice where Wright relayed it ahead. It comes loose to Feeblecorn. Feeblecorn spins back. Been no scoring in this second period. We only have about 5 minutes left. Minnesota with a 2-1 edge. Tipped by Wasley. Wright trying to get free. And they ride one another into the corner. Larson takes a bump from O'Sullivan. Back to the line. This is Coleman. Save, but a big rebound, and the tip by Wright went wide. Good coverage in front of the net by Minnesota. I think it was Wasley. Icing here against the Golden Gophers.
Well, you got to get that play from the goaltenders back in front of your goaltender. But Sullivan, as you mentioned, Matt Wright, who's had a very strong game, just playing in his second game, getting the opportunities. Here's a shot coming from the point. Coleman takes a shot. Callanan makes the save. And you see in the backhand as Wright tried to get it on the far side. Not able to get enough work done as Walsey came into play as well to help out.
There's a look at Wasley, the man with the coverage in front of the Minnesota net. Bonnet in the face-off circle. That puck is still free. Finally controlled by BU. And they play it deep. Thornton is there. At the side, it's covered now by Callanan, and they hold on once again long enough to get a whistle.
Neither team really allowing the opposition to get a lot of freedom out there. As soon as someone gets a puck, there's usually a player with a different color uniform on top of them. This big ice surface lends the fact that you can make a lot of good plays out here. Those long passes. Gophers used to this big ice surface as well. They like having a quick team out there. They've got the players who can make those passes as well.
All alone in front, Prendergast, and he's robbed by Callanan, who is in this period becoming one of Minnesota's star players. Bonin, and they tip it to center, and then the Terriers shoot it right back in. Whatever adjustments BU has made, they've been putting on more sustained pressure in this period, certainly than they did in the first, and perhaps even earlier in the period. Now Zwackman in front of his own net. Out to Nick Checo. Drops it back for Bonin. He's got Kraft right in front, and the puck wouldn't go in. Now the Terriers, Prendergast, and now to Steve Thornton. He kicks it ahead, carries it in with O'Sullivan, forced outside by Brink, and the Terriers want a line change. They'll change all 5. Here's Checo lobbing it to center. It bounces. It bounced right to Kelty, and he got it out of the zone. Zwackman pressured by LaChance, then pinned up there by Pandolfo. Brink, and now Brink again. Chased from behind by Joubert. Bonin at center. And he slides it in, but it's picked up by Wood. Looking for LaChance, but the puck apparently goes out of play right into the stands down below us.
That could have been a very dangerous play for Minnesota because they were having a line change. Bonin, when he shot it in, I think everyone thought he was going to dump it deep. He did not do so. And all of a sudden, the Terriers picked up and tried to get the quick break. And you can see the assistant coach, Bill Butters, talking to the players also. You know, you're going to make those passes in. You've got to make certain you get them in if you're going to dump them in. So he did not look very happy. He knew full well that that could have cost their team.
Last change being made here, and the Terriers send a bit of a new group on. Mike Sylvia will be the face-off man against Doug Woog. Between Woog and Wood, and the coach Woog.
Dan Woog and Doug Woog.
Yeah. Makes an announcer helpless sometimes. Here's Coleman. They bring it in offside, however. With 3:07 to go in the period.
Well, a pair of 10s came together. Donatelli from BU and also Scott Bell from Minnesota kind of came together, both on the wrong side of that blue line after he had the offside call.
As you look at John Coleman, who had an empty net goal last night, one of many members of this BU team who has played on a U.S. junior national team at the World Tournament at Christmas time. And historically, both of these schools have sent a wealth of players to Hockey USA. They shoot it around, wrapped loose by Wright, and it hops to the corner. Here's Godbout firing at the center. Now Pankratz with Bell. Lena takes him out. And it's relayed ahead by Coleman, who has handled that puck a lot tonight for BU and done it well. I don't think he's given it away at all, Tom. Very sure-handed defenseman, John Coleman.
Very steady back there at the point.
Wright pries it free, right in front, and it rolled away from Roush at the last second. One of 4 3-year letter winners in the lineup here tonight for BU, and Roush had a great chance there. Bell. Johnson behind the net, turns away from Pankratz. Prendergast relays it to center. Shot right back in by Brink. Minnesota will touch up on the delayed offside. Prendergast pass comes through to O'Sullivan. He looks for Thornton, and instead it's Walkman behind the net for Minnesota. Wrapped away from him. O'Sullivan rolls it up the middle, and it's taken away by Siles. Has a man breaking on the wing. It's Hendrickson. Turned aside by Brennan. Then throws it to Siles. He plays it deep for Stiege, and checked by Thornton. Now Stiege. Hendrickson. Brennan knocks him down. The puck touched with a glove hand by Hendrickson to Siles, and the whistle goes.
Minnesota looked like they had a chance to do something there, and all of a sudden everything closed down. The Terriers doing a good job of back checking and making certain that the Gophers didn't have a chance to move into it.
Menards brings us up to date on standings in the Western Collegiate Hockey Association, where teams will be back in conference play next week. Minnesota with 5 losses there, 3rd in the league, tied for 3rd with Wisconsin. Colorado College, the leader, and boy, they're off to just a wonderful start this year. Tough team. Denver coming on strong as well. We'll update you a little bit later on Hockey East standings. We're down to about 1:20 to go in the period here. Loose puck to Lena. Lena up off the rail, breaking for it. Grabbed by LaChance, puts it in the middle. A backhand, I think, went over top of the net. And the net may have come loose. And Callanan very slow in getting up.
Well, Jerry Krieger, the referee, right down on top of the play, made the call immediately. But the Terriers coming very close once again.
Now, Tom, a while back, there were several players who were injured by that point that used to come out of the base of the net, and they changed the design of the net because players were getting hurt. I think they're going to have to change some rules here before a goaltender, whether in college or pro hockey, gets really severely injured by this going to the net. Well, they're just taking too many liberties in front.
You mentioned the point that used to be in the net, and of course that was one of the Howboys that result of that when the point went into his buttocks, and was a serious injury, but also now they've made it so the magnets come off, and the players aren't afraid to go to the net anymore because they do come off so easily. And they know there won't be injury going to the net, and so the goaltender really is fair game in those situations, but the rules have to change where if you run a goaltender, you've got to pay the price on a penalty that's severe enough.
Yeah, maybe it ought to be made a major, 5 plus 10 or something. Someone's really going to get racked up really bad. Less than a minute to go in the period, and the Terriers have really come on strong here as Lena shoots. That's off Joubert, but it won't go in. There'll be a penalty coming up on Bertliot. That draws the ire of the fans, but play continues now while the Terriers have control, and now they lose it with about 28 seconds to go in the period. And Bertliot will go to the box, and a power play late in the period could give BU a big boost here.
Well, Joubert was standing in the slot area, and you'll watch Bertliot come in behind Jacques Joubert. The shot comes from Lena. It's kicked right there. Now watch Bertliot stay right there, and he's called on the hook call. Both players coming together. Discretion of the referee. Nonetheless, it's a penalty against Minnesota, and Bertliot goes to the penalty box.
19:32 the time, and it's called a hook. Only 2 minors called in this period, both to Minnesota. And no goals have been scored. So this is power play number 3 for the Terriers. Face off deep in the Minnesota end. Thornton wins the draw. Brennan fires wide. Bell goes after the loose puck. Gets it out of the zone. Comes skipping in on Herlovsky. He has to watch it closely. Pandolfo at center. Backhands it in the zone. LaChance goes after it. Treble is there to take it away. Now Bell racing after a loose puck, but O'Sullivan keeps it alive for BU. O'Sullivan after it again. Checked out of the zone, and it's grabbed by Bell, and he fires it to center. Fired right back by Brennan at the horn, and the period comes to an end. 1 minute and 32 seconds of the power play for the Terriers will carry over to our final period of regulation play. This has been a wonderful college hockey game here in the championship of the Mariucci Classic. Minnesota 2, Boston University 1. Our intermission will be coming your way in just a moment.
And this is a live look, Frank, at Ryan Kraft. This is what he actually looks like right now. Ryan, the hat trick last night in that first round game, and no time to enjoy it. They stick you right back out there.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess last night I was just right place at the right time, I guess, and I was the one to get the goals. So tonight we just gotta pick it up a little bit more in the third period now and go at her.
All right, tell me about the second period. This is a long way from Moorhead High School. This is big time Division I college hockey right now.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's fun though. I mean, Boston's a great team. They move the puck really well and they play great defense. So we just gotta step it up a notch, and hopefully we'll do that in the third period.
Tell me about the BU Terriers compared to some of the other top teams you played early in the year, like Michigan.
They're definitely one of the best teams. They rank up there with Michigan and Michigan State and all the other teams in CC. So the ratings show that. So I guess they just,
All right, Ryan, thanks a lot. Have a good luck in the third period.
Thanks.
That's Ryan Kraft.
Now that's just fabulous hockey out there. There's a look at Derek Herlovsky playing in the shadows of the Edison High School building, about 1.5 miles away from here in Minneapolis, where he tended goal for 4 years and came up with a strong period. Both goaltenders have made some key saves, both he and Jeff Callanan for the Golden Gophers. There's still 1 minute and 32 seconds left, and a minor penalty to Minnesota's Jesse Bertliot for hooking. And on the power play, the Terriers will go back in their own end to regroup. O'Sullivan is out up front, along with Prendergast, Pandolfo, Joubert as the forwards. Brennan officially the only defenseman back, but of course Sullivan can play a couple of ways, and he's back on one of the points with Brennan. Here's O'Sullivan with the puck. Tipped in over the line by Joubert. It comes loose in the corner. This is Prendergast. And he waits. Now to O'Sullivan. Shot deflected. Big save by Callanan. Not really sure if it was deflected, but one of the BU players positioned perfectly in front, looking for the tip in. This puck is shot out of the rink, so we'll have a face-off.
Well, on the power play, they move that Chris O'Sullivan back to the point position on the left wing. Watch here, it's not a hard shot, but it's right on the money. Who's standing in the doorstep again? But Jacques Joubert trying to deflect that puck. He got a little piece of it, I think, but also at the same time, Jeff Callan standing there out just in the right position to deflect it off into the corner.
Joubert now getting ready for this face-off against Ryan Kraft. And Kraft finally controls, comes out of that pileup with the puck, laying it ahead for Checo. Shorthanded, he'll slip it in deep. Still 40 on the power play for BU. Checo rattled into the wall pretty hard by Brennan, and the Terriers bring it to center. On the far side of the rink, Prendergast got it in, took a jolt. Stiege behind the net, but couldn't play it as Prendergast knocks it around. Now here's O'Sullivan. Back into the corner again for Joubert. At the line, O'Sullivan. Brennan holds the zone. Here's Prendergast again. O'Sullivan fires. Knocked down, and Prendergast has it again. Jay Pandolfo tied up by Zwackman. Not a lot of zip in the movement here on the power play, and a lot of action on the perimeter, almost on the rail.
Well, that's what the Gophers want. They want it on the outside, not in that center ice position.
Penalty is over. Stiege gets it to Checo at center. Bertliot is back on. He's going off on a change, as are a few other Minnesota players. Here come the Terriers. Pandolfo lost it, and a break here for Pankratz. 1-on-2. Fires, and a good block there by Lena. In the corner, here's Woog. 5 skaters aside right now. And Minnesota penalty killers have done the job, keeping the Gophers ahead 2-1. A big reaction from the crowd, Tom. I'm not sure what they thought they saw. Here's Woog centering it for Bell, but it's tipped away in the slot and tipped out of the zone by Coleman.
Well, they were calling for a hooking penalty against LaChance's. The defenseman Charlie Wasley was trying to move in. LaChance got a hook onto him and pulled him back.
Pankratz bringing it in, drops it to Woog, lets the shot go, and Herlovsky turns it away. Bell fires it in front for Pankratz, who goes to the backhand, but Coleman had him tied up beautifully. Pankratz had his glove ripped off his hand, and the puck sails over the glass, causing a stoppage.
Well, that third period for Minnesota has been a good period all season long, including last night's games. They had scored 32 goals in the third period, just giving up 9 goals. 5 of those was in the loss to CC last weekend. So that can tell you exactly what they want to do in that third period. You'll watch right here as Wasley tries to move in here. You'll see the little hook right there pulling him back, and that's what they wanted, was the penalty against Bob LaChance. And all of a sudden, you get, when you let one thing go, you have to let another thing go. And so Bell gets away with a slash there.
Here comes Larson now for Minnesota to bring it in and shoot it behind the net. In deep, Bertliot wraps at it, looks for it again. Now fired to center ice for the Terriers, and Wood, long shot went wide. Like it might have fooled Callanan just a little bit. Roush playing it to Wood again, centering it, and the tip goes into the corner. Kelty back behind the net. It squirts free. It's tipped by Feeblecorn. That allows Treble to get to the loose puck. He finds Larson. They skate it out to center ice, and then that rush dissolves as Wood gets his stick on it. Back to the Minnesota, and this is Godbout. Terriers seem to be building on what they had going in the second period in terms of controlling some play, but they're down by a goal. And here's Godbout now to Treble. Hendrickson and a whistle. We might have too many men on the ice. We'll tell you about it after we take a break. A 2-1 hockey game. We'll be right back.
Well, sometimes it seems like you don't have enough players on the ice. Minnesota called for too many men on the ice, and so the bench penalty is going to be served by Pankratz, and the Gophers will be shorthanded.
If you go back to the first period, it's 4 consecutive power plays now for Boston University. There's a look at the Minnesota mascot, Goldie Gopher. And if any of you are able to remember the old Mariucci Arena, there used to be a photographer's basket above the glass, about 4 inches back behind the net. And that used to be Goldie's perch. Here he had to invent a cherry picker to get a similar perch, to the delight of the student section, which is right behind Derek Herlovsky. This is power play number 4 for the Terriers. Lena with a pass to center ice, and it's brought in now by Steve Thornton. Chased outside by Zwackman. And don't underestimate the importance of this 2 minutes of the game. LaChance had his shot go off a skate and into the corner. It's a 2-1 lead for Minnesota, but the Terriers on a power play. Back to the line. Lena. Pass tipped away by Checo, trying to get a break. He's got Bell with him. He's hauled down by Lena. A good penalty there. Will there be a penalty shot? No, I don't think he had enough of a break.
No, he's going to call him for the dive at the skates of Checo, which took him down, and so that will nullify the power play opportunity for the Terriers. Even things up here with 1 minute and 10 seconds to go in the penalty to Pankratz. After the bench penalty, Pankratz is serving. You watch right here, Checo doing a good job looking for the pass across, and all of a sudden as he goes for it, watch him dive right here. He takes out the skates, and that's the reason for the penalty.
That's that youthful speed we're talking about for Minnesota, where perhaps it didn't get him a goal there, but what it did was took him out of a penalty kill situation, and it'll even things and actually give Minnesota a 50-second power play in just a little bit as Kylina goes off on the trip at 4:29, and Jack Parker just trying to read lips, folks.
He's questioning the call, but I think he knows full well also. That's not a bad penalty. Lena knew he didn't have the step to be able to take Checo as Checo was trying to cut in. So rather than give him that open opportunity, he just took his skates out from underneath of him.
Minnesota 2, BU 1. We're still early in period 3 of this championship game, and it's been a delight. Hope you're enjoying it. Out at center ice, and it's brought in now by Pandolfo, and a high shot comes down off the glass. O'Sullivan shoots wide. Pandolfo lost his skates there, and now Mosier gets it to center. Brought up ice by Kraft, 3-on-2. Kraft the drop to Godbout, who tried the return pass, but it hit the skates of Rich Brennan. 4 skaters aside for another half minute. Ryan Kraft in the slot treble. Centers it. Brennan breaks it up. Here's O'Sullivan chased by Kraft. And O'Sullivan fires it ahead for Joubert too far. Now everybody overskates it. His legs are getting tired.
Frank, that's a couple situations where the Gophers had the opportunity to shoot or pass. Better off to shoot in those areas because the passing really shut down by the Terriers as they moved in front of the puck.
Loose puck in the slot, batted away in a hot second by Coleman. What a game he's had. Now Thornton out at center ice. Shane Johnson hits the line. 50-second power play now for Minnesota. Brink can't get it out of the zone. Prendergast turns it around, and a shot by Thornton is turned away by Callanan. Dan Woog to center ice has Andy Brink breaking on the right wing. Brink sliding it in deep. Out of the corner it comes into a pile. Who's got it? It's kicked loose into the corner. Now Woog behind the net. Brink all alone, and the puck hit the base of the net. Now the Terriers 2-on-1 shorthanded. Prendergast looking for Thornton. Big play by Callanan. Rebound by Coleman. Fired wide. Out to center ice, and Bell crosses center. Finds Brink. Both teams changing, and Brink will shoot it in deep. What a play by Jeff Callanan to break up that rush. Penalties are over. 5 aside now with 13 and a half to go in regulation time. Moser in the corner. Wadley goes after it. He's tied up by LaChance. Moser battles to get free, but he's checked on the play by Pandolfo, and it comes loose to Jacques Joubert. To the line, and Wood plays it in deep. LaChance and Wadley. LaChance battling to get free. Pandolfo to help out. Bothered there by Moser. To the outside they go. And now Joubert behind the net. Into the corner once more. LaChance putting it right in front. And again, Callanan, a big stick play to knock it loose. Gets it to Kraft. The rush dissolves at center. Joubert tipping it to the line. Mosier ahead for Bonin too far. Loose at the line and still in the zone as Kraft played it in deeper. But Kelty is there to take it away. Wright waits for the puck. Now to center ice, and it's tipped all the way down by Roush.
Both these teams have really picked up the pace at the same time. They're right on top of each other.
Oh, Roush alone in front of the net, drives in the centering pass, and the Terriers have tied it at 2. That's the break we were talking about much earlier, and it finally came to BU, and Roush makes no mistake.
Well, Roush was camped all by himself. All the play had gone to the far side, but it's so important what you do when you don't have the puck as well. He went to that position hoping a pass might come out to him on that side, and that's exactly what happened. as you'll watch it right here, all of a sudden Minnesota trying to get back in the fray. You can see Callan also caught a little bit off guard there as well. He could knock it back after being caught in that corner, and how quickly it can change. But Roush standing all by himself puts it away, scoring a goal last night. He gets another goal tonight, gives him 5 on the season. But more importantly for him and his teammates, it ties it up at 2.
Credit Wright with an outstanding centering pass. Drury will also get an assist at 7:40 on the 5th by Ken Roush, the senior, who last year was a Hockey East all-academic team member. Wright and Drury assisting. 2-2 the score. It's been a long time since we've had a goal. The last one by Pandolfo on the power play at 16:56 of period number 1. Terriers shoot it in. Someone was still in the zone coming out, and so it's offside as we come up at the halfway point of play here in the 3rd period. Gophers grabbed a 2-0 lead on goals by Feeblecorn and Bonin on the power play. Pandolfo answered on the power play in the 1st period. Roush here scoring even strength to make it 2-2 here in the 3rd. We'll be back with more after this. Terriers 2, Golden Gophers 2. It's going to be a whale of a finish here. Well, I think at times I spot some of these legs getting a little tired, Tom. 2 games, 2 nights, big surface. A little bit of a layoff for both of these clubs.
You may be right there, Frank, but also at the same time, you know, these players, the reason they play on these teams is because they're competitive, and you don't really take into account the fact that you may be tired at times. You know you have to play and you have to do the job that's expected of you.
That was a great job by Randy Brink to break it up. Here's Siles without a stick going after the puck. Just trying to check something.
He'll have a tough time when he gets there.
Hoping someone would be coming from behind. Treble gets it to Hendrickson, and he shoots it from center ice into the BU zone. Bertliot rolls it right in front, and it's taken away easily. Coleman with the outlet pass deflects over to Treble. He carries it in, slips it deep, and it's grabbed now by Thornton back behind his own net. Boston University has not given Minnesota much open ice in the BU zone in the 2nd period, and certainly here in the 3rd. Prendergast relaying it ahead. O'Sullivan comes in. Thornton covered by Feeblecorn. Shot and a goal by O'Sullivan to give the Terriers a 3-2 lead.
That was a
decoy up the middle, but O'Sullivan made sure on that shot.
Well, that was a great play also. When you watch Chris O'Sullivan, he's got the size certainly to make some things happen, 6'3", and he just picked up that puck coming down the far side, kind of a fake, coming in the right wing position, being a left-hand shot. You'll watch right here. Nice play off by Mike Prendergast off of the boards there. O'Sullivan picks up, he comes down a little fake, around Treble, moves to a better shooting position, and he beat goaltender Jeff Callan easily on that one. And I'll tell you, that was a good shot. And O'Callaghan, you can see how far out he was right at the edge of that crease area, but he could not handle it. And that's a key goal, obviously, not only because they've got the lead here, but they've had 2 quick goals in a row here that gives them a little more life as well.
And goal number 16 now for O'Sullivan, or perhaps his 15th. I misread the screen there, I apologize. But he and Mike Greer, who is up in Alberta, are 1 and 2 in goal production for the Terriers. And 3 unanswered goals by the Terriers over a fairly long span have put them into the lead for the first time in this game after giving Minnesota the first 2 goals way back in the 1st. Brian Bonin, 4-on-2, fires right on. Herlovsky the save. And he holds on, and Eric Herlovsky, who faced a barrage of tough shots in the 1st period, hasn't seen that many tough ones, particularly here in the 3rd.
No, he hasn't. He's made certain also he could hang out of the puck when those opportunities come. Brian Bonin takes the good shot in that position, but Herlovsky goes right down to grab a piece of it. That goal by Chris O'Sullivan gives him 16 on the year. He's the 4th youngest of 11 children, and a couple of years ago in '93 he was out after suffering a neck injury, a broken neck, and they fused a piece of his hip bone into the neck vertebrae, and a lot of people said no, he won't play again, but Jack Parker said he has never looked back from that day when he got back after being out for 8 months, and he certainly has been a big asset to the Terriers.
Saw some numbers there indicating a potential reversal of a trend. That is that BU has never come back from a deficit after 2 to win. And that Minnesota has never lost after having a lead after 2. Right now it's BU 3 and Minnesota 2. Woog tips it loose. Brink swats it away, but here comes Wright shooting it, shot it wide. And up on the near rail, it's ripped to center ice by Pankratz, and now Kelty has it. Now BU, after a period of time, just gradually has taken more and more control of this hockey game. And right now they're looking very much in control at a time when you want to be in control as you come up into the closing minutes of the game. Still half a period to play, and it's only a 1-goal game, but Minnesota will need to start generating. Here's a pass picked off easily by O'Sullivan. Godbout back to get it. Bumped by Prendergast, and the loose puck to Treble. Now Hendrickson going cross rink, and the puck hops away from Siles into the corner. Had no idea where it went. Taken outside by Lena, and the coverage on Minnesota very good now. Treble will have to scamper after a loose puck, and his long reach helps him to get to it. Now Siles, Stiege, and he backhands it in. Orlovsky leaves it behind the net. This is Lena. Chris O'Sullivan now to center. Sullivan had it, got it in, it's shot back out. Now mishandled by Brennan one of the few times. Here is Bonin. Wasley lets it go, and it's blocked by Orlovsky. Shot was rising a bit there. Might have even cleared the net had Orlovsky not gotten in the way. Rolls into the zone. Pandolfo stops to pick it up, taken outside hard by Mosier. Checo trying to clear, it bounces away from Bonin. Played right back in by Brennan. Now waiting for it is LaChance. His pass off Kraft and back out at center. Flipped back in by the Terriers. And Joubert nearly got a gift there from Callanan. Wasley has to help out. Checo. And Minnesota's passing right now is kind of disintegrating. Here comes Pandolfo getting it in. Now LaChance has to avoid a stick, but couldn't do it. And Larson relays it ahead now for Feeblecorn. He's bumped by Drury, and the Terriers turn it around in a hurry, except for this takeaway by Larson. Bertliot gains the zone and flattens Lena. Here's Brink. Bertliot's one of the smaller guys on the ice, but one of the toughest hitters you'll ever see for any size. Now to the far wall. Here's Zwackman. Off a stick at the BU line. Larson gains the zone. This is Bertliot with the puck. Tried to force it into Larson, who puts it in front. Bertliot with a great chance, and what a save by Orlovsky. So Bertliot throws his weight around and comes up with scoring chances.
During the last stoppage of play, guys, Doug Woog just told his team, we got to forget about trying to carry the puck into the Boston University zone. The Terriers have completely taken the blue line away. They're just going to have to dump in. Now, one other thing, Terrier defenseman Shane Johnson took a cross-check on the inside of the thigh. He has gone back to the locker room. Doubtful he'll return.
Sean, thanks very much for that update. Sounds like you're in the catacombs of the building. Here's a shot by Siles that went high, and a block at the side of the net as Minnesota is now driving for the net, let alone dump in chase. Now Bell tied up in front, and the Terriers have to skate away from danger and then shoot it in. Oh, a bad Karen Thornton shooting. A loose puck hits the goalpost. Thornton with a couple of tries, and he rattles it off the pipe, and we get a whistle as the goal comes loose. Whoa, where do the flurries come at either end here all of a sudden?
Boy, as you mentioned, French, action at both ends right now, and right there the Terriers thought they had something. Scott Bell coming back also knocked the net off of its standards. That's a play he knew he had to do something there. As you mentioned, the puck went off of the goalpost at the same time, but the Gophers almost gave one up there. Callan got caught in behind the net. He's been roaming a little bit here. When that puck hits part of that boards and all of a sudden deflects out. We've seen that happen a few times. Look where the goaltender is. All of a sudden, here come the shots. Now watch number 10 right here, and you'll see right here number 10 also will take that net and just take off of its standards. But here's another look at it as well as that shot clanked off the pipe to the left of Callan and away from the goal.
5 skaters aside, 6:30 to go in regulation. BU with the lead, and it's driven out of the zone by Lena. Treble. Intercepted by Wood, intercepted by Treble. Now taken by Wood again. Gets it out of the zone. Going to wave off the icing, saying Godbout could have played it out at center. Terriers make the change on this advantage. Checo tipping it in. Drury firing it across, nearly mishandled by Brennan. Bonin in after it in a hurry. And Minnesota in the last two shifts have really turned on the Jets. And he used that speed against the experience of the Terriers.
Well, what's happening now, Frank, when the Gophers are making that quick change or that quick pass, you'll watch as they move in there. The Terriers doing a good job of taking the body. Guys like Kraft and Bonin, they know they may not beat them when it comes to the skill level sometimes, but they can take the body and allow their teammates to pick up that puck.
Bertliot's going to go for a trip as the Gophers get control of the puck, or a hook they're going to finally call it with 5:28 to go in the third period. Fans here not happy, and Minnesota now has an even bigger hill to climb.
Bertliot likes to throw his weight around. There's no question. Watch right here as he's going to get the stick right in the midsection there, and he just pulls down the defenseman Rich Brennan, and so Bertliot gets the gate. As you mentioned, Frank, 5:28 to go in the third period. The Gophers behind by 1 goal. This is not an opportune time for Minnesota to pick up a penalty.
Hooking call on Bertliot. 14:32 the time. And now a little soul searching over on the Minnesota bench to see how to react to it. One of these teams may have called a timeout here, but it doesn't look like there's any very intense strategy by either bench. So while they get a few things sorted out there, let's bring you up to date on who some of the key players in this tournament have been. Leading scorers for the 4 teams, including Western Michigan and Yale. All of which led by Ryan Kraft, who has the edge with 3 goals and an assist. Scoring a record hat trick, the first record ever scored in the Mariucci Classic. Tied in points with Brian Bonin. There's O'Sullivan from BU along with Pandolfo and Brennan. Some very familiar names all out on the ice now in this championship game.
Jack Parker not very happy because of the fact that Doug Luke took so long, and he's hollering at the referee. Is this a timeout or what is this? This can't happen.
Bonin battling to get to the puck, finds Bell, lets the shot go, it bounces to Treble, he lines it up and hits a skater, rebound! A goal! Bonin!
Shorthanded goal for Minnesota, ties it up at 3 apiece. And that may be one of the things that Jack Parker was complaining about. Don't let the big guys out there. You'll watch how the puck will come back right over to Brian Bonin, and all of a sudden it goes off the skate of Steve Thornton, I believe it was, and it right back on the stick of Brian Bonin, who goes in, beats Herlovsky with a puck, ties it up at 3.
And assists on the goal to Dan Treble and Scott Bell. But still power play here for BU, but now we're locked up. 5 exactly on the clock here in the third. And I don't think you can ask for very much more in a championship game. Whistled, puck either went out of play or was offside. The goal to Brian Bonin, his second of the game. This crowd is deafening.
And that gives him 5 points in the 2 games in this Mariucci Classic. And you can see why they go to Brian Bonin and why Doug Woog uses him so often in those tight situations, whether it be on penalty killing, power plays, or his regular shift. He gets a lot of ice time, and when he gets the ice time, he usually makes some things happen.
Joubert, a drop to O'Sullivan, still a minute 15 on the man advantage for the Terriers. Here's a shot by O'Sullivan, saved by Callanan, and he covers up before Pandolfo can close in.
Pandolfo was looking for that puck, and Jeff Callanan able to get that stick finally to pull the puck back underneath the big glove of his. But when you've got a puck laying there, you'll watch everyone go for it, looking for it, and all of a sudden the shot coming, a little bit of a screen shot there. Callanan making the save, but look at that big stick of his as well as he just pulls it in there. Pandolfo coming there, and also Jacques Joubert trying to get to that loose puck as well.
Joubert and Bonin, but the puck comes back to BU. O'Sullivan lines it up, and it's deflected wide. Prendergast had a piece. Kraft checked by Joubert, but still is able to launch it out of the zone. Under a minute on the man advantage. Rich Brennan now to Chris O'Sullivan. From center, he throws it in. Joubert locks up with Zwackman and vice versa. Little wraparound try, no, to the point. Brennan, O'Sullivan, a one-timer by Prendergast, and it's broken up by Treble, who clears the zone.
Treble making certain he was going to get that puck down the ice. He put everything he had into that shot to clear the zone.
Under a half minute, as you see, on the BU power play in a tie game. Knocked down in front by Coleman. Coleman to center. To the Minnesota line. Trying to get around Brink, who stumbles. They center it. And the shot by LaChance goes out of the rink.
The officials had no idea where that puck was. LaChance was looking for it. He thought he had it. Good play all the way around with O'Sullivan and LaChance coming in there. But finally the puck on the deflection went up high over top of the glass. Nobody knew where it was.
Andy Brink is one of the more sure-footed players on the ice. You won't see him stumble often. What a scoring chance that created.
Well, it certainly did. Unfortunately, the play was on the outside far enough, and you can see everyone looking like, where is it? Even the official moving there. Greg Shepard now knowing where it was. Jerry Krieger, the other linesman or referee, looking for it. And as Doug Woog looks at the clock right now, guys, we've come back in this period. We gave up 2 quick ones, but we're back in the thick of things.
9 seconds left on the penalty to Bertliot. Are they still looking for the puck? Are they really still looking for the puck? That's the word we get, but hey, it's up about 5 or 6 rows.
I know where it is, but I'm not going to tell them.
And neither are the Gophers. They want a little breather here. Roush playing it to the line, now gets it back, but lost it. And the penalty to Bertliot expires. Treble after a loose puck. Feeblecorn picks it up. Larson now to center, wrapped away by Lena. Taken away by Drury. Right side pass to right, and he's jammed up at the line by Gottbout. Now Treble's pass, and it's handed away. Lena shooting right on, a big block, the rebound, and it's kicked out by Callanan. Larson fires it out of the zone. 3 minutes even to go in regulation. We're tied at 3. Larson takes his man down. The shot blocked by Gottbout. Feeblecorn gets it out of the zone. It was tipped by a BU player at center, and so icing is waved off. A misfire on a pass there by Kelty. Bonin forcing play deep. Kelty jammed to the wall. Kraft got it behind to Bonin, and he is wrapped up on a good defensive play, but comes back and gets the puck. Finally, his pass is errant and cleared out of the zone.
Boy, you can see how strong Brian Bonin is on his skates as well. Very hard to knock off the skates, take him out of position.
Gottbout finds Bonin. Bonin trying to jam it in, got it to Kraft, who waits and shoots it right on. A juggling act, and then it's cleared out of this zone by Lena. Brink again. Now to Kraft. And with 2 minutes left in regulation, we should remind you there could be overtime and lots of it. Brink in deep, and he centers it, but Minnesota's in the middle of a change. O'Sullivan's pass picked off by Bell. Couldn't bring it in. Brink was still in the zone. Zwackman to the line, and it gets past Brennan, so they wave off icing, saying could have played it. A centering pass, and it's chipped away by Thornton. Long pass to the line, broken up. They were looking for Pandolfo. Now instead, Doug Woog. Danny Woog bringing it in, shooting it. Off a skate, it rolls, and Brennan tips it away. Puck loose, and shot by Pandolfo to center, but Woog takes it away, gets it to Bell. Bell jumps on it, lets it go, shot it wide. Woog firing, fired it behind the net. Treble waits, fires it high. And 1:12 left in regulation. Lena takes his man out. Bonin gets the puck as they're double shifting Bonin. And finally a good effort on the outside by BU's LaChance to get it out of the zone. Under 60 in regulation. Jacques Joubert. 50-footer glove catch by Callanan. Gets the whistle. And the face-off coming up in the Minnesota zone. Don't go away. Lots more action to come. We'll be right back. McDonald's brings you the game. There's a look at the scoring summary. Minnesota with the early lead. The Terriers, ranked number 2 in the country on the power play. They're 1 for 5 tonight. Minnesota's Brian Bonin with 2 goals, 1 power play, 1 shorthanded, and just in case there's overtime, there's a look at their records this year. BU without a win, Minnesota 1-1-1. The discussion is in front of the Minnesota bench with Greg Shepard and Coach Doug Woog.
Well, I'm sure they're talking about the overtime. Maybe they're questioning because of this tournament play, how is this going to run? I think we'll see at least 5 minutes of sudden death and maybe a break where they'll resurface the ice and come back for a full period of overtime hockey if it's still necessary.
Exactly right, Tom. A short break, short period, a long break, and a long period. But hey, we're a long 47 seconds away from that. Well, there will be an awards presentation after this one. There have been 3 previous Mariucci Classics. Minnesota has won only 1 of them. That was the first one. Now Jack Parker wants a timeout. We have a look there at Sean Grandy, who's really getting the true scoop there. While they take a break, we'll take a break as the pep band here at Minnesota gets pumped up. Well, they're just about ready to wrap up the Rouser here at Minnesota. And we'll look ahead 1 week as the Golden Gophers go up north to northern Michigan to face the Wildcats Friday and Saturday at 6 o'clock Central Time. And a half hour before each of those games, the Doug Woog Show here on Midwest Sports Channel. Hope you're enjoying the game in the upper Midwest as well as in the Boston area on WABU. Also a basketball reminder that the Big Ten opener will be coming up Wednesday night at Williams Arena, Penn State and Minnesota. 7 o'clock again, a Central Time start here on your Gopher Sports Connection MSC. And we also applaud those of you in Boston watching on WABU this year on the new hockey contract there that will be bringing fans in the Boston area even more BU action. A great package, and we're happy to be a part of this co-production, if you will. Along with Sean Grandy tonight, Mike Ruzioni was on the air just a bit earlier. Dale Arnold was with us yesterday. Tom Reed, Frank Mazzacco here from MSC. It's been a terrific holiday weekend and a fabulous championship game. Joubert to face off against Kraft. Joubert had it, wins the draw, played in deep by Pandolfo. Treble, Checo, lobs it out for some reason. I'm not sure he wanted to do that, and Doug Woog is just, he's got sparks coming from his heels. He's pacing so fast behind the Minnesota bench. And Checo is upset too.
Yeah, and he should be upset. There's no reason for him to do that. I think what he's trying to do is just lob it over into that center ice area beyond that, but unfortunately he shot it all the way down the ice. And of course, the reason he's upset because it brings the faceoff back into his own zone when they had good possession of it.
You lose possession, and now you lose a lot of territory too.
Well, players make mistakes, and when they make mistakes, that's why they have teammates to help them counteract those things and make it good for them.
Joubert won the draw. That shot blocked by Kraft. Lena, shot goes behind. Schwachman cleared. Kraft gets it to center. Now Larson, but it doesn't go in the zone. Back the other way. Prendergast trying to beat Schwachman. Does. Callan in the save. Rebound. Batted away. Lena shooting. It's on the line, but no goal. No.
Oh, boy.
Oh, that goal line tonight. What a role it has played.
I tell you, it doesn't get much better than this. I don't care what level you play at. The professionals can't be as exciting as this is right now. Of course, there's no NHL hockey right now anyway, but I'll tell you, when you watch these two teams all night long, they have battled back and forth. There's been goaltending duels. We've seen mistakes made, but we've also seen cover-ups as well by their teammates. Here's a shot by Lena coming, hit the pipe on the outside. Look at Callan looking behind. Everyone going for there, but they could not put it away, and how close it was for the Terriers to putting it into the net. Look at number 21, Mike Prendergast, standing right there. He thought he had it. And you can see how stick will go in the air here in a second. But look at the position of the referee, too. He is right in the position. Jerry Krieger doing a good job of getting involved in the play as well.
Jerry Krieger has been around the block a few times. He's seen tight games like this many times. There's a look at some face-off numbers with BU winning the majority of them, particularly here in the third. Couple seconds remain. One more chance. Horn goes. And we're headed to overtime. We'll have a short break, play 5 minutes of OT. It would be sudden death. And now wait a minute. The BU players are headed down the tunnel. Well, earlier in the earlier rounds, they went with a 5-minute break. Here, championship game, they're going to let him take a full intermission, resurface the ice, and then I guess we'll go to a 20-minute overtime, sudden death. All right, the Gophers headed off. Sean Grandy will join us from ice level. He's had a different perspective of this game. We'll be right back. On the new year, along with Sean Grandy and Tom Reed, this is Frank Mazzacco. Welcome back to Mariucci Arena. We're going to overtime. For Minnesota, Jed Feeblecorn and Brian Bonin twice. For Boston University, Jay Pandolfo, Kent Rausch, Chris O'Sullivan, the goal scorers.
Well, this is a situation right now of both coaches, Jack Parker of BU and Doug Woog of Minnesota, trying to get their best players out here. How quickly overtime can end. So often it'll end in the first minute or so, or it'll go a long time, and we've got at least 20 minutes on the clock right now.
Minnesota hoping for its second Mariucci Classic in its 4-year history. They've only won it once. There's a lead pass to Thornton, but he is stripped of the puck by Godbout. Put in front, knocked down by Treble. He is stripped of the puck, but battles to get it out of the zone. Bonin up ice with Checo. Bonin to the middle. Forced outside and brought down by Lena, no penalty. Kraft reaching. A one-timer coming up and really going up and out of play as Nick Checo got a little more than he wanted on that one.
Good play by Kai Lehnen, also just staying on top of Brian Bonin. He was cutting to the far side, and you've got to stay with the player. Here's a shot coming also, but look, a little bit high there, and you can bet that there'll be hardly any penalties called in the overtime unless they are very, very flagrant. And Nick Checo getting that chance, but just getting a little bit too much underneath of the puck.
Joubert's line out for the Terriers. Pandolfo land the chance with him. Godbout now to Treble. Out at center, Larson brings it in with Bertliot. Here's Feeblecorn, and it hopped away from him. Puck takes a bounce in the corner to Minnesota. Larson. Now Brennan back to get it. And around on the rail. But picked up by Prendergast, who gives it to LaChance. They stay on side, and the lead for Prendergast too far. He tried to whip it in front. That was blocked by Godbout. It's loose, 2-0. Callan in the save. He's looking. It came loose, but the whistle went first.
Oh, the whistle had gone. There's no question, but Bob LaChance had that opportunity. The puck was on the far side, and Minnesota doing a sloppy job defensively in their own zone. It was actually a 2-on-0 situation, and the goalie coming through here once again. Look how everyone's mesmerized by the puck. There's a shot, and also on the far side. Little hit in the backside. Puck's loose on the far side, and suddenly it's in the net, but the whistle had gone as Greg Shepard makes the call, and the face-off to the right of the Minnesota goal.
There have been a lot of close calls like that down around the Minnesota net lately. And the Terriers are hoping they're going to capitalize on one of them soon. Hard shot taken from the face-off by Rausch. Here's Siles. And it's played back in deep by Rausch. Zwackman shoots it around. This is Brink. Now Bell. And they bring it in. Back behind the net it goes. Bell. Woog. Drury ties him up, but he hangs on. Now Lena on him. Siles gets it. Breaks free. Siles shooting it through the crease, but just wide. Zwackman out of the corner. This is Bell. Woog behind the net. Back for Bell. In front. It rolls. Brink shooting. Never reached the net. Woog in the corner. Now Bell to pick it up. This feisty line of Minnesota is keeping the pressure on. Now Kraft, but he lost it as Minnesota is in the middle of the change. Kraft tying drawing the man up long enough for Minnesota to complete the change, and they still can't get it out of the zone. Lena trying to clear. Blocked by Brink. Knocks it down, gets it to Kraft. Kraft hangs on. Long shot goes wide. Here's Walkman. Taken away and shot out of the zone by Roush. The senior ices it to relieve some incredible pressure.
There was pressure put on there, no question, Frank, and so often you'll get the lesser players that will come in and make some things happen in that overtime period.
Well, here's a look at some of the hardware that will be on display to the fans here at Mariucci Arena. The trophies and awards that will be presented to the winners of this tournament. Some nice looking stuff.
Well, it sure is, and that's what they're playing for right now. Also the pride of winning in this tournament.
At center ice, Thornton tips it in, rejected by Moser, who quickly played it to Bonin. Now to Kraft. It's out of the zone, and a delayed offside coming here. Unless the Terriers get it out, which they do, and then O'Sullivan inadvertently ices it. Don't think he wanted to do that. Goes over quickly to talk to Thornton to say, where did we misfire on the communication there? But it results in an icing, and Minnesota gains the territorial advantage.
So often, Frank, you'll see a coach or coaches, will use one or, 2 lines, maybe 3 lines. Not very often they use 4 lines in a lot of situations. But when that 4th line gets the opportunity, they're the line, the players so often sit on the bench, they have a lot of energy that's inside them that they have not been able to use. And you'll see those players so often make some things happen when you get into situations like this.
Out at center ice, O'Sullivan knocks it down. Might create a 2-on-1. He brings it in. Minnesota recovers. Thornton in the slot, swept away, not out. Brennan the shot, it goes wide. Now O'Sullivan turns and shoots. Blocked by Callanan. Here's Kraft. Has trouble in his own end, now taken away by Thornton. At the line, blocked by Brennan. Here comes Kraft now to center, 3-on-3. Checo bringing it in. Held up, brought down by Wood. Wood clears, it hops in the slot, and it's grabbed by O'Sullivan. Crosses center, lets a long one go. Prendergast tried to center it, or rather LaChance did. Here's LaChance tipping at it. Ties up with Godbout. Now picked up by Joubert. A shot from a crowd. It's loose in front. And Callanan swats it away. Treble to Larson. Instead, Feeblecorn. And they'll have to chase after the loose puck. It'll be offside at the line on the broken play. Let's go down to Sean Grandy outside the BU locker room.
All right, Frank, what Jack Parker told his team in the locker room between period 3 and the overtime, that this game is going to be won in transition. It's a team that's going to make a play going from defense to offense. Translation, don't be selfish. Don't look for somebody else to make the play. Make it yourself.
All right, so he's not looking for either team to have much opportunity to set up with any kind of organized play in the zone.
Frank, and that's exactly right. How often do we see where a team will go and put a lot of pressure on, and suddenly that shifts. The transition, it takes a puck the other way, and the other team puts it away. Here's
Kylina. Takes a bounce to center, and Joubert flips it in. LaChance goes after it. He and Brink. Now Treble joins the fray. The puck comes loose to Joubert. At the line, Brennan gets around the check, fakes another shot, fires it in front. LaChance pops it in front. Oh, what a save by Callanan, robbing Joubert. That was pure anticipation on Minnesota on the breakout. Brink. Long shot, kicked away by Herlovsky. Brennan in the corner. Firing it around for Alina. Ahead now to Pandolfo. Crosses center, shoots it in, and he's hammered by Wood. They wanted to make a change, and now they do. Moser for Minnesota. Cross rink right under the stick of Bell. In over the line, and forced in deep by Wood. Roush trying to play it around. Wood and Bell go after it. Out at center, Moser the interception. Now Siles to Bell, who's playing without a glove. Took a check in the leg. He's slow in getting up. We'll get a whistle. A collision just inside the blue line. And Scott Bell, who missed all of last season with a back injury, is writhing in pain there.
He went down pretty heavily. It looked like he got on the side of the knee, and the referee right now, Greg Shepard's just telling him, stay down there. Let the trainer come out. Brocksterman coming out here as he comes down to check out the player, but Scotty Bell took a pretty good hit there. Justin McHugh was lost earlier with a knee injury playing against Michigan. You watch right here, the pass coming across, and all of a sudden there's Bell. Now watch right there, you can see the knee on the knee. It looked like it was the right knee of the captain. That would be the loss of 2 captains of this hockey club.
Justin McHugh, Scott Bell, 2 seniors and co-captains for Minnesota. And Tom, I don't think that was a situation where the BU player stuck his leg out. That looked to me like just a head-on collision. While they tend to Scott Bell, we'll take a break. We're still early in overtime here, 3-3. Scott Bell, twice in his career here at Minnesota, has been given the Mike Krupe Award to the team's most dedicated and determined player, both as a sophomore and as a junior. And I'll tell you,
boy, there's a class move also. The players on the opposition give me a little pat on the backside with their stick saying, you know, way to go. Just a little encouragement. As tough as it is with the players out here against each other, nobody wants to see the other player sustain any type of a serious injury.
Especially that knee injury, Tom.
That's a class act on the part of BU.
He made his way through the BU bench because it's a shortcut to the medical room. And now the fans here trying to get Minnesota players fired up. 3-3 in overtime. And it's lobbed into the corner. Thornton after a loose puck driving it around. Gottbaut. It comes loose and now Brian Bonin. Out to center ice. The pass for Kraft too far. Apparently tipped at center. No icing. But it bounds right back to O'Sullivan. He throws it down the other way. Gottbaut knocked Prendergast down at center. No interference, I don't think. Instead, an icing the other way against BU.
Well, you're going to see the players try to draw penalties every once in a while. And that's what's going to happen. But the referees have to be on top of the play as well.
Gives you an indication of what a great tournament this has been. Minnesota won the first one against Bowling Green in overtime at the Old Barn. Ferris State won in '92. Minnesota finished 4th. And last year in double overtime, Lake Superior State was victorious. Although it was a different overtime format. The shot by O'Sullivan goes wide. Different format in that we only played a 5-minute overtime and then resurfaced for a 20-minute overtime. Here we're going right with the full 20. O'Sullivan again shooting, broken up by Treble. Gottbaut now far wall. Checo knocked down, stripped of the puck, and now grabbed by Treble. Bonin at center. Trying to weave his way in, and Joubert has it. Bonin playing it away again. Checo shooting it in. Tom, I don't sense a significant edge for either team right now. Playing pretty even.
I think you're absolutely right, Frank. Both teams have had the opportunity, but cannot make anything happen with it.
Swachman took his man down. Pandolfo, no call. 3-on-2 potential for Minnesota. Brink. And the pass picked off by Brennan. He's knocked down, but a whistle. Joubert is hurt back behind the play.
I did not see that, Frank. When they broke out 3-on-2, I was watching the play, but the referee blowing the whistle, Jerry Krieger, after the puck changed possession, and BU got it. He's bent over, heading down to that dressing room area. We'll see if we can get a report down there, but nonetheless, it took away a scoring opportunity, but Minnesota on the 3-on-2 had given up the puck with Brink having the puck and then giving it up on the 3-on-2.
Joubert, number 24.
Oh, he was hit there. Yes, that was a check by Jesse Bertliat, who was throwing his weight around the whole game. And the problem there was after Joubert made the pass, he was looking to see what the pass was, wasn't worried about protecting himself, and he paid the price for it.
We have played 7 minutes of overtime and another whistle now.
I think he just lost his wind because he's back on the bench right now. And so often you go down like that, you get hit from the front, you go down, you hit your back, and the air kind of escapes you for a few moments. You just need a few minutes to regain your composure.
Tom, if I sense no edge in play, the shots don't indicate that. BU has a 5-1 edge in shots, or they have a 3-on-1 break. They center it, shot in the goal, and the game is over, and BU wins the Mariucci Classic on the goal by Ken Roush, the senior and 3-year letter winner. A 3-on-1 rush. And that's the transition that we heard Sean Granby talking about earlier. They turned it over at center ice. 1-1 break, and it's over in OT.
Absolutely, Frank. What you do when you have the puck, to control the puck as well. And Roush, who got a goal last night, picks up another one here tonight. Picks up his second goal of the game, his 5th and his 6th of the season. And so BU will win the Mariucci Classic for 1994.
Sean Grandy asked a little bit earlier, how many accolades, how many cliches can you draw out? I think you can draw out a room full of them for this game. It was that kind of hockey. It was just a terrific night. And this handshake line will be a heartfelt one. Many of these players, having been teammates at one time or another on select 16, 17, and 18-year-old teams for Hockey USA, and competed against one another in various Olympic sports festivals. And here we're locked up in just a beautiful hockey game, and the winner in overtime for the 3rd time in 4 years at the Mariucci Classic. It goes to overtime, and Boston University is the winner by a 4-3 score. The awards table being hauled out at center ice. Awards will be presented. And this game will not show up in any standings. There will be no 2 points awarded. But boy, I'll tell you, it's just a gratifying victory, I'm sure, for the Terriers.
It was. You're absolutely right. And it was a good goal as well. The goal going to Roush. The assist went to Chris Drury and Matt Wright, who had a strong game. And that's their 3rd line. And that's what we talked about. It isn't always their top line or their second line. Maybe it's the 3rd or the 4th line to make it happen. And that's exactly what has happened here. And our congratulations to the Terriers from Boston University.
Well, you folks in Boston are just about 52 or 3 minutes away from celebrating the new year. We'll say so long to you and hope you enjoy the 4 games of the Mariucci Classic. For those of you watching in the upper Midwest, stay tuned. We'll have a post-game wrap-up on this one, player of the game and break of the game coming your way in just a moment on Midwest Sports Channel.